I now declare the November Council meeting open at 6:30 p.m. and welcome all of those in attendance. And I invite Councillor Panayiotou to read the acknowledgement to country. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The City of Melville acknowledges the Bibbulin people as the traditional owners of the land on which the city stands today and pays its respect to the Wadjuk people and the elders both past and present. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Now I draw your attention to the disclaimer on the screen. The affirmation of civic duty and responsibility on the screen. The advice of audio-visual live streaming and recording on the screen. Now, to assist me with the smooth running of our meeting, if you plan on asking a question during public question time and haven't already submitted the questions to us in writing, it would be appreciated if you could complete a question time form found on the table to your left and hand it to an officer prior to the commencement of public question time. And I take the opportunity to welcome the community in attendance in the public gallery and online. And tonight we'll be discussing making decisions on matters you have an interest in. The City is committed to listening to the community, and I ask you to assist with our decision-making process through mutual respect by not interrupting the meeting by clapping or calling out. This will assist elected members in focusing on discussions tonight, debate and outcome of matters before them. So should you wish to engage with the City on any matter, please make contact with the City or your elected member. And if you're... I think we've done that. Okay, so I think we need to move on to the attendance and apologies. We have the following councillors, there are no councillor is online, and there are no councillors providing an apology for this evening. And finally, we have the following councillors on leave of absence: Councillor Green and Councillor Hong. Item 3, declarations by members. We now move on to declarations by members. Are there any declarations by members who have not read and given due consideration to all matters contained in the business papers presented before the meeting? That's nil. Declarations by members who have received and not read the elected members' bulletin? That's nil. Moving on to item 4, announcements by the presiding member. Approved deputations and approved written submissions. There are no deputations or written submissions that have been approved for this evening. Item 5, disclosure of interest. Can the Head of Governance please advise if there are any disclosures of interest for this evening? Ms Newman.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you we have a disclosure of financial interest from Councillor Matthew Woodall in relation to item E2582, confidential waste services agreement item. That's all for tonight. Thank you.
Are there any further disclosures from elected members? No further disclosures. We're now moving on to item 6, public question time. I now open public question time at 6:35. We have received a number of questions with notice this evening. If we have the question asker in attendance or they have a representative to ask the question, please make your way to the microphone when your name is called. If there is no one in the audience to ask the question and the question is not taken on notice, the question and response will be provided in the minutes, which will be available to the public on Friday, the 21st of November. All right, those asking questions, I'll first list them. Ms Cole of Melville, Mr McCleary of Burragoon, City of Melville residents and ratepayers, Mr Hopkins of Applecross, Mr Miotto of Leeming, Mr Stevens of Bicton, Mr Morley of Willagee. So let's start with Ms Cole of Melville. Please come forward.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Can I ask both questions at once? Can I ask both? Okay. At the ordinary council meeting on the 19th of August, Councillor Scott Green sought to bring a motion to strengthen furze tree plantings in the city of Melville. The motion was deferred because the tree policy was not compliant. I understand that a committee meeting was scheduled in September to begin addressing the issue of compliance, but was subsequently deferred due to a lack of quorum. I'm seeking an update on the progress of the tree policy. My understanding is that since the 19th of August meeting, there has been no further progress towards making the policy compliant. Is that correct? And could you please advise when Council expects to have a fully compliant tree policy in place? Thank you.
Thank you. Mr Coton, Director of Environment and Infrastructure.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Mayor. The Tree Policy CP029 will be discussed at the December 2025 Policy and Legislation Committee meeting, and then progress will be based on the recommendation of that committee.
Thank you. And my next question, Walga has reported that between 2011 and 2020, Perth lost around a quarter of its urban tree canopy. 25% of our trees gone in just 9 years. It's well established that most of that loss occurred on private land. Early this year, the Zorsey versus Town of Cambridge 2025 WhatsApp decision confirmed that removing a tree, particularly a mature one, can constitute a form of development under West Australian planning law. This ruling reinforced the legitimacy of local tree protection policies by recognising that tree removal is a significant activity that warrants proper oversight and, in many cases, development approval. 12 months ago, the City of Melville conducted an extensive community survey that reached around 40,000 people. The results showed strong support for introducing planning controls for trees on private land. Melville is the only local government to undertake such a comprehensive engagement process, yet despite this valuable evidence base, there has been no visible progress. Across the metropolitan area, momentum is clearly building. Since Walga released its tree protection policy, 10 local governments, Cambridge, Nedlands, Fremantle, Peppermint Grove, Victoria Park, Bassendean, South Perth, Coburn, Claremont and most recently Mosman Park, have invited their communities to consider the stop before you chop. These communities have expressed their support for stronger protections which have or are undergoing implementation. Given this clear metropolitan-wide momentum, the strong evidence that Melville's own community engagement and legal clarity now provided by the WhatsApp decision, when will Melville residents be given the opportunity to consider adopting a stop before you chop, sensible protections for trees on private land, so that tree removal is subject to the same level of scrutiny and planning oversight already applied to other significant developments such as installing a swimming pool or adding a second storey?
Mr Varelis, Director of Planning.
Through the Chair, thank you for your question, Ms Cole, and it's a topic that's on the forefront of the City administration in our engagement with Council. The City is preparing a report for the December 25 Ordinary Meeting of Council in relation to the issue of tree loss on private land. The approach being recommended by the City has been informed by the extensive community engagement that you've referenced and results and workshops with elected members.
Thank you, Ms Cole. Mr McCleary of Burragoon.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr McCleary is unavailable. I'll be reading on his behalf.
Could you tell us who you are and what suburb you come from?
Felicity Hopkinson, Applecross.
Thank you.
Question Part A. In October 2025, the City issued a building order in response to building complaints from adjoining property owners, your reference COMBLD 2021-14, lodged circa February 2021. Post the City issuing building permits from circa October 2019, exactly why has it taken over 4 years for the City to take building compliance and enforcement action about long-standing complaints, and what triggers have contributed to the City at long last issued the building order?
Mr Melville, Manager Health and Compliance.
Through you, Madam Mayor, thank you for your question. The City commenced compliance and enforcement activities in relation to ComBill 2021-14 in 2021. An extensive amount of engagement and work has occurred on this matter, including but not limited to investigations and ongoing liaison with builders and property owners, monitoring of related dispute resolution processes, specifically SAT CC 256-2022, regulation of building permits, including site visits and ongoing monitoring, consideration of compliance responses, obtaining legal advice to inform the City's compliance response, preparation and issue of proposed building orders, ongoing monitoring of works and engagement with landowners, and preparation and issue of a building order. In implementing the City's compliance functions, the City is guided by legislation specific to issues raised and its existing compliance and enforcement policy. The City notes that this policy is the subject of review at the November 2025 Ordinary Meeting of Council.
Thank you. How can I formally collaborate with Council, individually or through a Council reference group, committee, panel, to further improve the City's planning and building approvals and enforcement policy, processes and performance? I note your recently published Community Sounding Board initiative does not have topics listed that expressly cover these important areas, and it does not appear your website indicate what reference groups, committees, panels are in place and other such implementation details, such as how terms of reference and participation will be determined.
Ms Pickering, Director, Community Development.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you for your question. The City of Melville is committed to providing residents with a variety of opportunities to engage in a wide range of matters. All of these projects are listed in the Melville Talk section of the website. This is the most effective method for individually collaborating with the City on enforcement policy and processes. Recently, the City invited public comment on a revised draft Council policy, CP 114, Compliance and Enforcement Policy through Melville Talks. This policy outlines the City's high-level approach to managing compliance and enforcement matters across a wide range of services, including planning, building, ranger services, parking, environmental health and community safety, and is currently before Council for consideration. The City also welcomes feedback on all of its services, including planning and building approvals. This feedback is used to systematically improve the performance of the City's services. Feedback can be lodged either online, in writing or in person, and more information about how to provide feedback can be found on the Contact Us section of the City's website. The Melville Sounding Board is a community register for people who want to play a role in shaping the City's future. By signing up, you'll receive targeted invitations to share your thoughts on projects, plans and local issues that matter to you. When you join the Sounding Board, you'll receive early chances to have your say with options to join panels, focus groups and workshops that match your interests. In terms of the relevant interest areas that are listed for the Sounding Board, it is suggested that based on your question that you select local laws and council procedures and also planning projects and development. There are no groups, committees or panels currently in place specifically related to planning and building approvals and enforcement policy, processes and performance. However, joining the Sounding Board will ensure that you will be amongst the first to receive invitations to join any panels, etc., that are formed in the future. Terms of reference for these, including participation details, are established on a case-by-case basis when the panels, groups, committees are formed. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Just before you leave, we noticed in our meeting procedures that Mr McCleary should have notified us by email that you were going to ask questions on his behalf. So we're letting that go tonight, but could you inform him that in future, if he does wish to have somebody else ask questions on his behalf, and that goes for anybody else who needs to get somebody to ask questions on their behalf, that we need to have notification in writing. Thank you.
Okay, I will, thank you. I did have an email from him, but I wasn't sure to present it before.
Oh, that's interesting. Are you able to give us a copy of that?
Yeah?
Thank you
now.
very much. Do you have it now, or are you going to send it?
I can send it in, that's fine.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
City of Melville residents and ratepayers. If there is no representative, the answers to questions will be put in the minutes. Mr Hopkinson of Applecross.
Good evening, Madam Mayor. My question, why did the City Administration close my planning and building non-compliance complaints from March 2022 and July 2023? These were COMBLD 2022-19, COMBLD 2023-146, COMPLR 2023-104, despite the fact that non-compliances still exist.
Mr Melville, a Manager of Health and Compliance.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you for your question. The City was satisfied with the compliance approach that was being progressed.
Thank you. I refute that statement and I will follow up with the Mayor in writing in due course. My second question, why does the CEO continue to refuse to meet with us to collaborate on proper resolution of the non-compliances?
Mr Yildich, Director Legal Governance and Risk. Thank you.
Thank you, and through you, Madam Mayor, and thank you for your question, Mr Hopkinson. The CEO's role is to manage the City's administration and operations. In undertaking this role, the CEO employs experienced and qualified staff who are delegated authority to undertake certain functions. The City's compliance officers are authorised to undertake compliance and enforcement functions and are the experienced technical experts trained to undertake this function. It is important for complainants to continue liaising with the relevant department and the compliance officers investigating the matter, especially as they have oversight of the issues in hand.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr Miotti of Leeming.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. My first question is, in relation to the admission by the City of Melville at the Agenda Briefing Forum on Tuesday, the 11th of November 2025, that the City Operations Division has operated an undeclared and unregulated commercial waste facility at John Connell Reserve for over 20 years without recourse back to councils or local residents. Will the City of Melville issue a formal apology to Leemian residents and users of John Connell Reserve for risking their health and wellbeing through this activity? And B, further, will the City establish an independent inquiry to fully investigate this matter, including comprehensive testing of the exposed materials is carried out without delay and all results made public as soon as the information becomes available?
Mr Coton, Director Environment and Infrastructure.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Mayor. The City doesn't have any evidence to suggest that the community has been placed at increased risk by this activity. The City has appointed a consultant to undertake a review of the site management plan, and that'll include testing of the materials on site.
Thank you. My second question in relation to the same matter. Has the City of Melville advised the CEO of DEWA the waste site under Section 72 of the Environmental Protection Act 1986, which requires any occupier of a premises to do so ASAP if a discharge of waste causes or is likely to cause pollution or material/serious environmental harm? And if no, why not? And B, what action is the City of Melville taking to immediately be decommissioning this exposed waste site?
Mr Coton, Director Environment and Infrastructure.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Mayor. The City has no evidence to suggest that the activity has or will cause environmental harm. However, the City has been liaising with DEWA on the matter of storage of materials on site and has been advised that if appropriate measures are undertaken to ensure the landfill capping material is not disturbed and underlying waste is not disturbed, then any risks would be low, very low and acceptable. In relation to the second part, the city, in regard to decommissioning the site, the city has appointed a consultant to undertake a review of the site management plan, and any future actions will be based on the outcomes of that plan.
Thank you. Can I just make a clarification from last week's agenda forum briefing? It didn't dawn on me until afterwards, but Mr Cotton made a comment regarding my initial response I received from the council, in that he suggested that I may have not indicated the actual correct area that was contaminated. And I'd like to point out that I actually did make very sure, with 2 emails to the council, one including a link to my Facebook page that had very clear photos showing this waste, that was actually, in fact, I did make the council aware of exactly where the problem was. The council just didn't address it.
Thank you, Mr Viotti. Mr Coton?
Yes, thank you. Through you, Madam Mayor. Yes, I'm happy to clarify that. I apologise if my answer last week gave the impression that I was implying that you had given us misinformation. My answer was that there was a misunderstanding. We thought you were talking about the site to the north of the access track, when you were in fact talking about the site to the south, and we clarified that at our site visit. So my extreme apologies if I created the impression that you'd given us incorrect information.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Dr Stevens of Picton.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Question 1. Are the rumours that city compliance officers cannot issue building orders directing someone, the offender, to remove an unauthorised encroachment until the adversely affected property owners, the victims, consent to the offender to access their land to remove the encroachments, correct? If so, why?
Mr Varellis, Director Planning.
Through the chair, thank you for your question, Dr Stevens. Property boundary matters, including encroachments, when brought to the city, need to be considered on the particulars of the circumstance. The city is not in a position to provide across the board advice as to how it deals with property boundary matters. Should a resident have a specific concern, they should approach the city with the details of their circumstance and, if necessary, seek their own independent advice.
Thank you. Next question.
Yes, Dr Stevens.
Council, why would you pass the administration's proposed compliance and enforcement policy tonight, post Council's acceptance of my November 2023 petition, without properly engaging me to hear my experience and ongoing problems, consistent with the community's accepted September 2025 community engagement position? Why doesn't the proposed policy contain compliance matrices like I proposed, directly relating to state legislative offences, and as Council's February 2024 motion that requests the CEO to include?
Mr Varellis, Director of Planning.
Through the chair, thank you for your question, Dr Stevens. The council considered your specific property issues at its ordinary meeting of council on the 18th and 19th of April 2023. Specifically, the council resolved that it notes the officer report on the petition signed by 24 residents received from Dr Stevens on the 20th of February, requesting the council investigate and resolve his building complaints, and advised Dr Stevens that the actions requested of the council within the petition are inconsistent with the governance role and functions of the council, and that the city's administration will continue to progress with current actions regarding 89A Harris Street and 6B First Street, Bigton, building-related matters and complaints, and that the best course of action is that these matters are resolved amicably between the property owners. Regarding the policy, the community was invited to comment on the council's reviewed policy between the 22nd of July and 26th of August 2025, in accordance with the council resolution UP 2571. The Shire of Serpentine Jarrahdale policy, referred to within the petition, and included a matrix system, which was considered by the city's administration when drafting the revised policy. The Shire of Serpentine Jarrahdale reviewed and adopted a new policy on 20th of May 2025, and in doing so, removed the compliance matrix from the policy. Their report stated specifically, this approach has created a number of issues over the past 12 months. As such, the matrix does not provide an insight into how significant an issue may be by virtue of its scale, risk and/or impact. The report went on to say, it is proposed to remove the matrices from the policy to allow for the merits-based assessment of each case to be undertaken before determining the actual offence category. This is to enable the relevant aspects of scale, risk and/or impact to first be assessed, rather than the current policy approach that sets a predetermined classification. This will assist both officers and the community by providing an enhanced policy framework that is applied on a risk-based approach considering the unique circumstances of each case. It is for this reason that the City drafted the policy to align with the City of Melville's risk matrix, its organisational risk matrix, which is available online. This was discussed in elected member engagement sessions and referred to in the report UP 2571, considered by Council in June 2025, where Council resolved to release the policy for public comment in the form that it was presented. Further, it is the City's opinion that this position aligns with procedural fairness described by the Ombudsman of Western Australia Guidelines Procedural Fairness Natural Justice as concerned with the procedures used by the decision maker rather than the actual outcome reached. The Ombudsman considers it highly likely that a decision maker who follows a fair procedure will reach a fair and correct decision. Further to this, it describes the rules of procedural fairness requiring a hearing appropriate to the circumstances, lack of bias, evidence to support a decision and inquiry into matters in dispute.
Thank you, Mr Varelis. Thank you, Lady Mayor.
Thank you, Dr Stevens. Mr Morley from Willagee.
Good evening, everybody. Lovely to be here again. Nice to see you. Nice to see everyone at home too. I've got a question tonight that relates directly to the initiatives that Melville City Council has regarding tree canopy on private land and also regarding residential housing on private land. My question is this: how will the Melville City Council protect trees on private land while increasing housing density?
Mr Varelis, Director Planning.
Through the Chair, thank you. Thank you for your question, Mr Morley.
Pleasure.
The City is preparing a report for the December 2025 Ordinary Meeting of Council in relation to the issue of tree loss on private land. The approach being recommended by the City has been informed by the community engagement results and workshops with elected members.
Community engagement results. And what was the last part?
Through the Chair, workshops with elected members.
Workshops with elected members. Okay. Secondary question, Lady Mayor.
Thank you.
Look, given that nearly half of the city's urban forest is located on private properties and that canopy cover has decreased from 13.9% in 2016 to 12.5% in 2022, and given that tree canopy cover on private land has decreased from 6.7% to 3.6% over 30 years due to higher density residential development, what property development innovations is Melville City Council considering or currently implementing to address this decline in canopy on private land?
Ms Bowman, CEO.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Mr Morley. We'll need to take that question on notice and the response be provided in the agenda of the next meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mrs CEO. Could I just add one final question to that? It may actually
Yes, Mr Morley.
What incentives could or are the Melville City Council currently providing eco-friendly property developers, such as Chris Ferreira's The Forever Project, whose inspired infill model in Hamilton Hill is increasing housing density whilst maintaining tree canopy?
Ms Bowman, CEO.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you for your next question, Mr Morley.
Pleasure.
We'll also need to take that question on notice and provide the answer in the agenda.
Just a question of procedure, Madam CEO. How do we get the answers to the questions that are taken on notice? I haven't seemed to receive one from last meeting.
Ms Newman, Head of Governance.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you. So any questions taken on notice are provided in the agenda of the next meeting. So the questions you've asked tonight that have been taken on notice will be provided in the agenda for the December 2025 ordinary meeting of Council.
So ordinary meeting council.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a lovely evening.
So are there any further questions from the gallery? Mr Miotti.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you. This is in relation to the motion regarding from Councillor Clive Ross regarding the Murdoch and Bull Creek precincts. The motion before Council to develop the Murdoch and Bull Creek precincts was brought by the community at the Council's AGM this year. It asked the Council to prioritise these structure plans, but the City is proposing, via the latest report by Urbis, to delay again. It appears the only option available for the community who want to have these projects move forward is to put a request into the Minister for Planning to prepare these plans. Is that what the City wants the community to have to resort to? I've got a copy of that if you wish.
Mr Varellis, would you have an answer to that question or would you prefer to take it on notice? That will be taken on notice, Mr Miotti. Thank you very much. Are there any further questions from the community? Sorry, from the gallery? If there are no further questions, I now declare public question time closed at 7:03. Moving on to item 7, awards and presentations. Ms Bowman, CEO.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm pleased to share that the City of Melville has won the Coastal Planning and Design Award at the 2025 Western Australian Coastal Awards for Excellence held on Monday the 27th of October 2025. In line with the City's priority to protect and enhance the natural environment, the City's Melville Beach Road bioengineering project in Applecross was recognised for exemplifying innovative bioengineering techniques, including brush log walls, tied into rock toe protection and extensive native vegetation restoration. Bioengineering uses centuries-old techniques that have proven effective to manage erosion from shoreline stream flow forces and allow the opportunity for native plants to become established, decreasing the reliance on rock revetments through sustainable natural erosion control solutions. It's fantastic to see the great outcomes from the Melville Beach Road bioengineering project, including enhancing biodiversity and habitat connectivity. And I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the Director of Environment and Infrastructure, Mr Jim Coton, and his team, including Mr Jeff Bird, Manager Natural Areas and Parks, and Mr Max Rees, Project Officer Natural Areas, who are in attendance tonight on receiving this award. Please join me in congratulating them.
Moving on to the next item, 8, applications for new leaves of absence. Councillor Panayiotou has submitted requests for leave of absence for 2 weeks in December and 1 week in February. Are there any further requests for leaves of absence? If there are no further requests, I need a mover and seconder. Thank you, Councillor Barber. Seconded, Councillor Wheatland. Is anyone against? If no one is against, I declare it carried. Item 9, confirmation of minutes, 9.1, ordinary meeting of the council, 14th of October. Can I have a mover and seconder, please? Councillor Woodall, seconded Councillor Spanbrook. Is anyone against? If no one is against, I declare it carried. Item 9.2, special meeting of the council, 21st of October. Can I have a mover and seconder? Oh, Councillor Whitland, seconded Councillor Spanbrook. Is there anyone against? I declare it carried. 9.3, notes of agenda briefing forum, 11 November. Can I have a mover and seconder, please? Councillor Woodall, seconded. Councillor Whitland. Is anyone against? No one against. I declare it carried. Item 10. Yes. I need to note, first of all, to let you know that we need to disregard the reference to the 3rd of November 2025 Governance Committee meeting in the agenda, as this meeting has been rescheduled. Item 10, new business of an urgent nature. There is no new business of an urgent nature. Item 11, identifications of matters for which the meeting may be closed. The following items have been identified as confidential. C25 336, City of Melville Fencing Local Law 2025 undertakings, and C25 337, City of Melville Cat Local Law 2025 undertakings, and E25 82 Waste Services Agreement. I will hold these items to the end of the meeting so we can move to go behind closed doors. Now, additionally, the following have been identified as having confidential attachments. CD 2551, request from Melville Premier Cricket Club, turf and mowing reimbursement. C25 335, RFQ 2453-1, supply of resource recovery commercial waste truck, rear loader. Should elected members wish to discuss the confidential attachments, the item will be held until the end of the meeting, and I'll call for a motion to go behind closed doors. Moving on to item 12, a petition signed by 57 residents and 17 non-residents was received by the City from Ms Taylor of Myrie on Tuesday, 28th of October, in relation to Hume Court and McCoy Street streetscapes. 12.1, receipt of petition, Hume Court and McCoy Street streetscapes. I need a mover and seconder for the officer recommendation. Councillor York, seconded. Councillor Whitland. Is there anyone against? I declare it carried. Moving on to a petition signed by 37 residents was received by the City on Friday, 14th of November, from Mr Banham of Mount Pleasant in relation to parking signs on Wren Street. 2.2, receipt of petition, change to parking signs on Wren Street. Can I have a mover and seconder for the officer recommendation? Oh, Councillor Ross, seconded. Councillor Robbins. Is anyone against? If not, I declare it carried. Moving on to item 13, adoption of recommendations en bloc. We now have en bloc items for this evening. The following items have been recommended to be carried en bloc. C25 328, investment statements for September 2025. C25 330, schedule of accounts paid for September 2025. C25 332, common seal item for November 2025. C25 335, RFQ 242531, supply of resource recovery commercial waste truck rear loader. And CD 2550, deferral of community safety technology plan. Can I have a mover and seconder for the recommendation? Councillor Ross and Councillor Woodall. Is there anyone against? No one against. I declare it carried. Moving on to reports. Now, I noted that there are members of the cricket club in the audience. Would I be correct in understanding that? Thank you very much. So what we're doing is we're moving the item of concern to you forwards. So we're looking at item CD 2551, request from Melville Premier Cricket Club, turf and mow.
Madam Mayor, I think these cricketers are from a different cricket club.
Which one are you from? Is that the
You're all
correct
from
one?
Melville?
Okay.
Apologies.
Okay, thank you. We're discussing the correct item. All right. So prior to tabling the officer recommendation, I remind the council of the written submission received from Mr Green on behalf of WA Cricket, included in the notes of the agenda briefing forum. Additionally, the council is reminded that attachment 2 of this item has been marked as confidential. Should elected members wish to discuss the attachment, the item will need to be held until the end of the meeting. So does anyone wish to discuss the attachment, which is confidential? If there's no elected member wishing to discuss the attachment of the matter, then we can proceed with discussion on the item, on the report. Now, thank you. I also remind elected members that Councillor Robbins has proposed an amendment. Prior to this being considered, can I have a mover and seconder for the officer recommendation? So Councillor Barber moved, seconded. Councillor Wheatland. Okay, so we have the officer recommendation before us. Now we can move on to Councillor Robbins' amendment. Oh, I do beg your pardon. I will ask the mover of the officer recommendation if you would like to open debate first.
Yes, thank you. I'd love to, Madam Mayor. And my apologies to the cricketers in the gallery. I do apologise. Look, I am very positive about the officer recommendation. As we heard in our presentation, this is a Premier League club. All the other Premier League clubs receive assistance from their local governments, or the local government does maintenance. But that would be an extreme cost to our local government if we went that route. The revenue stream from the Tompkins Park Community Association since COVID has been minimal, and the cricket club has suffered. All other clubs can generate limited revenue from their surfaces, but unfortunately the Melville Cricket Club cannot. This is a premier club, and we as a city should be proud of them. But because they're a premier organisation, they just can't add more members, because you have to be really good to get a gig with the Melville Cricket Club. Our players at the Melville Cricket Club, hopefully their goal is to go on and represent Western Australia and Australia. In fact, there's only, I think it was something around 6 teams, so it's not a huge membership. But what I really liked about the presentations last week were the fact that this Premier grade team works so closely with our community cricket clubs, and in particular the Applecross Cricket Club. And the Applecross Cricket Club, as the presenter said last week, Mr Hullett, is doing wonderful things in our community with a diverse range of cricketers. I know some of my colleagues are saying, but why should we as a local government be paying a sizable amount to a local sporting organisation? And I just look at the spare seats available at the upcoming Test match, and it's a sellout at Optus Stadium for the first 3 days. And we Australians love our cricket, but we love our sport. But even more than that, I think we love to be mentally healthy, and sport in particularly, and particularly for young men. We should be encouraging them at all instances to get involved in a club situation. We should be encouraging young people to strive for excellence. And for these reasons, I think that this is money well spent. Adam Voges is the club coach, and he lives in Adderdale, and I'm really proud of that fact, and I'm sure a lot of other people are. Aaron Hardy had his engagement party in Bicton. I don't think he plays for Melville, but he'd probably be nice if he did. And Mike Hussey lives on the same street as me up the end, and I reckon that's fantastic to have these great cricketers. And so I applaud the cricket club, and I applaud our city officers for wanting to assist the club in this way. So I hope you'll approve this motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Barber. Councillor Wheatland, would you like to speak to now or later? Okay, thank you very much. Moving on to Councillor Robbins' amendment, the Head of Governance, Ms Newman, would like to just make a comment on this before we begin.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you. Councillor Robbins, you'll note on the screen we've amended the word directs to request in line with our more modern terminology. Do you consent to that change? Thank you.
And do you have a seconder? Councillor York, thank you. Councillor Robbins.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I originally submitted the 3 points on the screen as 3 separate amendments, but they've been combined into one, so I'm happy to address them all at the same time. But if there is an appetite from my fellow elected members either to discuss them separately or vote on them separately, I'm more than happy to do that. So the first part of my amendment asks our CEO to write to Cricket WA requesting that they consider making a financial contribution to local governments to assist with the cost of maintaining turf wickets. I think that this would promote a more sustainable funding model that shares responsibility across stakeholders. The second part is to remove the sliding scale condition outlined in point 1, which I'll go into in a little bit more detail in a while. And the third part is to add the words for a 3-year period into point 1 and point 2. And that is generally to just add some clarity around the intent and the time frame of the financial support and ensure transparency and certainty for both the clubs and the city. I'm hopeful that points 1 and 3 will receive pretty widespread agreement. So assuming there will be no dissent on those, I'm just going to spend some time expanding a little bit on the removal of the sliding scale and the reasons why I'm advocating for this. So over the last 3 years, the Melville Cricket Club has received $45,000, and that's not per year. That's $45,000 in total for broadacre mowing of Tompkins 1 and 2. They've received no payment for the curation of their wicket, despite undertaking that task for 15 to 20 years without compensation. The club provides fertilisers, clay and materials for the turf wicket with no city assistance. And as we heard a lot in the deputation last week, it's a huge task to maintain a turf wicket and requires a high level of skill and dedication from the people undertaking the work. The Melville Cricket Club also pays $7,500 annually in play usage fees, even though they maintain the grounds and the wickets and cover all costs for the mowing and the upkeep. As we've also heard, this is out of sync with other clubs in the Premier grade competition who all receive financial support from their local governments. So the proposal that is before us this evening that the officers have recommended is that we provide the Melville Cricket Club with $50,000 per year to help them with the curation of the turf wicket. But there's also a condition in there that there's a sliding scale for that $50,000 linked to the Tompkins Park Association making a profit or turning a dividend. So that means that the club could put in a lot of effort and really, work hard to try and make sure that the Tompkins Park Association makes a profit, which we've heard is possibly not likely to happen over the next few years. But if they work really, really hard to try and to make the association profitable, they receive no benefit under the current wording of the officer recommendation. So my proposal is to take out the wording that relates to the sliding scale so that every year they'll receive $50,000 towards the curation of their wicket, and anything else that the association achieves is just added bonus for the club, which I think is how it should be. Just to sort of contrast a little bit to the junior competitions, the entry-level programs like Junior Blaster and Master Blaster are subsidised by Cricket Australia, and so in contrast, the Premier grade clubs bear a significant cost for the turf wickets and the maintenance. The Melville Cricket Club supports both community and Premier cricket, so funding, so providing them with funding will support them across all their competitions and benefit everyone, not just the players who are playing at that elite level. So in closing, I'm asking for your support so that we can really show that we want to support the Melville Cricket Club, that we back them in, that we want them to do the best they can to ensure that the Tompkins Park Association achieves sustainability, that it continues to do the best that it can to support the clubs that make up that association, that they continue to work hard to turn a profit. And I think that it's a small gesture to show our appreciation for the hard work that many volunteers put in to ensure the sustainability of the club and to allow lots of people of all ages to play cricket, not just at that elite level, but across different age groups. So I ask for your support for my amendment. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Robbins. Can I just confirm that you're suggesting that we provide the finance on a permanent basis?
No, so part 3 is just that it would be for a 3-year period, which I think was the intent of the officers.
The 3-year period still applies. Okay.
Yes, but taking out the sliding scale. So it would be $50,000 a year regardless of the Tompkins Park Association turning a profit.
Okay, thank you. Now, is there a speaker against? Councillor Woodall.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I will speak against.
Sorry, I just need to ask Councillor York. Do you wish to speak now or later? No. Okay, Councillor Woodall.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I will speak against, but my only objection is to point 2 of the amendment. So I would request if we could vote on them separately, but if not, I'm happy to vote on the whole thing. But in relation to item 2, I don't agree that the deletion of the sliding scale is appropriate. I think the reason this has come about and this support package has come about is that the club is currently going through a difficult period. The association is not providing a dividend and not performing as it should be, and I think everyone agrees on that. And there certainly seems to be a genuine desire from all involved to improve the operations of the association, which I think is a very good thing. But the support package for the next 3 years is intended to, I guess, address the current shortfall and to assist the club through this difficult period. I don't believe if the association does start becoming profitable and is operating effectively, that it's appropriate for ratepayers to continue to provide the same level of funding to the club. The approach that I would take in looking at this is that the city needs to be fair and equitable to all sporting clubs, and the general standard and level of support we provide is a community grassroots level of sport. So we provide change rooms, we provide basic ovals and so on, but we're not in the business of funding premier sport or elite sport. That's another matter entirely. And my concern is that if we start to deviate from that, we will begin getting requests potentially from other clubs who play premier sport who may want support from the city. I would also note that $50,000, even though it may not seem like a significant amount of money in respect of the city's total budget, there are many other sporting projects and requests from community level groups. I know that, for example, netball, there's a great demand for new courts or resurfaced courts for community netball. So I think we've got to make some difficult decisions. I do agree that it's reasonable to provide support for the cricket club for an interim period, but I do think that we need to limit that support to where it's really necessary, rather than providing, I guess, a top-up on top of bar takings if they do return. So for that reason, I would object just solely to item 2 of the amendment. Thank you.
Okay, so there's been a request that we divide this up into 3 parts, but before we do that, let's start with item 1. So we've had speaker for, speaker against. Item 1 Can we talk about item 1?
Madam Mayor, if I can, I think the
Yes.
request was just to vote on all three parts separately. I think
Yes.
Councillor Woodall was happy to proceed with debate just on as a whole.
As a whole, and then vote on them separately. Oh, okay, fine, thank you.
Madam
Let's do
Mayor,
that then.
Just
Yes.
may I make a comment which may determine which direction Councillor Robbins goes in. So with number 1, it does actually, sorry, it's actually numbered with regard to the sliding scale. I'm just trying to find where it is. It is number 1, sorry. With regard to the number 1, perhaps if we remove the basis of a sliding scale, or even just put in there to say to be reviewed annually, and then it can be determined at that point, instead of actually removing it altogether. But so if we review it annually, then that way then if there's a huge dividend, you know, from Tompkins Parks Association, then the city can then perhaps review. Is there something that can actually, that may appease Councillor Robbins instead of actually voting one or the other?
Perhaps we should ask officers' advice on that because they came up with the proposal. So is there an officer who can perhaps throw some light on this? Ms Pickering, thank you very much.
Thank you, through you, Madam Mayor. Certainly we could consider, we could put up the budget, put up the proposal for the fee every year through the budget on an annual basis. I guess that the issue I can foresee with that is that the club itself won't have any surety of what will be approved by the council each year, whereas if we are approving it for a 3-year term, then they're confident of having that amount being confirmed.
Does that answer your question? Thank you. Okay, so we're looking for, is there another speaker against? Okay, I'm only asking that to balance the debate. So if there's no other speaker, you're speaking against?
Not really against, more a comment that, I guess, to the club that, look, anecdotally, your membership fees don't seem that much different to football and soccer fees that I've seen. And I have heard that some Premier League clubs actually pay players. So I'll just make the comment that, you know, if we look at this again in 3 years, that would be something I would strongly be looking at, whether if we are looking at renewing it in another 3 years' time.
Okay, thank you, Councillor York. Okay, if there's no further speakers against, then I'll go back to, Councillor York, you were the seconder of that amendment, so you've spoken now. Councillor Robbins, can you please wrap up the debate?
Sure, thank you, Madam Mayor. I just will briefly address the comments made by Councillor Woodall, and I'll just respond by asking a rhetorical question to Councillor Woodall and perhaps others who share his view. And that question is just, who do we expect to pay if not the city? So, you know, we're saying that I guess the argument being made is that why should the city's ratepayers be paying for this? And I definitely understand that argument. I make it myself a lot with regards to other things. But if the city's not paying, then who is? And that goes to my first point about advocating that WA Cricket should be making a contribution. I don't think that it's appropriate really that local governments are having to foot the bill, and that's why we're having to come to the party really, is because other local governments are, and we don't want one of our city's clubs to be disadvantaged compared to other clubs. But if the city doesn't support this club to curate its turf, then who does? And I guess the answer would be then the players have to pay more. But I just don't think that's a reasonable solution, because then all that's going to happen is that the Melville Cricket Club is going to lose their players to other clubs because they can go and play at another club and pay less to do so. And I believe that might have already happened on a couple of occasions with the Melville Cricket Club. So I know it's not an ideal solution, and yeah, in a perfect world, then the city wouldn't be footing the bill, but to make it fair for this club compared to other clubs across the region, I think that it's the right thing to do. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Now, elected members, Councillor Woodall.
Yeah, just a question, Madam Mayor, just for clarity. Given I understand that there's a reallocation from an operating budget for presumably this year. In terms of the council committing to years 2 and 3, presumably does that require a absolute majority as it's budget related, or will it be simply determined at the time we set the budget for each year? Approve the budget, I should say.
Mr Yildiz.
Thank you, and through you, Madam Mayor, the former Councillor Woodall. So it will be determined as each time we make the budget.
Right, thank you. We're now voting on the items one at a time. So Councillor Robbins' amendment, we are voting on item 1. Request the CEO to write to Cricket WA urging them to explore options for making financial contributions to local governments to assist with the costs of maintaining turf wickets required by Premier grade cricket clubs. If you agree with item 1, please vote green, and if you disagree, red. That is carried 10 all. Thank you. Moving on to item 2. 10-0, sorry. 10-0. That's a bit challenging, isn't it? Okay, so item 2, removing the words on the basis of a sliding scale contribution should be Tompkins Park Recreation and Community Association. Sorry, removing the words on the basis of a sliding scale contribution should Tompkins Park Recreation and Community Association. Does that make sense? Yeah, just removing all those words from the officer's recommendation. The sliding scale are the key words. So if you agree, you're going to vote green, and if you disagree, vote red. Carried 8-2, thank you. And we're on to item 3, number 3, amendment 3, adding the words for a 3-year period in point 1 and point 2. I think we need to wait for this to be reset. Yes, so green means you agree, red means you do not agree. Carried 9-1. Thank you. Now we're back to the substantive motion as amended. Is there a speaker against?
I'd just like to vote against, Madam Mayor, on the basis the amendment's carried.
Thank you. Okay. Councillor, if there's no further speakers against, I will go to Councillor Wheatland. Do you wish to speak now? Thank you.
Look, I won't be long. I'm seconding this because it recognises the really critical role that the Melville Cricket Club plays in the Premier League competition and in our community. And it's not just about supporting the club, it's about supporting that development pathway that takes young people from grassroots cricket all the way through potentially to WA and even international cricket, potentially. And I can hear Nick Pizzoli in my head right now. So it's the official pathway to WA cricket, WBBL and BBL and higher. Local juniors start at community clubs, then move into Premier cricket if they're able to, and from there into the state squads. But if that facilities decline at the Premier cricket level, the whole pathway underneath will collapse. You can't be what you can't see. I just want to add to what Councillor Barber said about the pathway for not only men but for women. And women's cricket at the moment is exploding across Australia and internationally. And Melville is one of the clubs leading that growth. It does have a Premier League women's team, and it places it among the select clubs across Perth that offers a full female pathway, and that's really important for City of Melville grassroots cricket and beyond. Supporting this request also supports equal opportunities for girls and women in a sport that's growing rapidly. Now, Melville's producing some outstanding female players, and I've just Googled this quickly, so I could be wrong, but anyway, Rebecca McGrath, Karen Reid medal winner, best female premier cricketer in WA, Maddie White, selected in WA's National Cricket League squad, Matilda Carmichael, they're nodding, yet played for WA and in the WBBL. These women, I probably missed out on a heap and I apologise, but these women are also proof that Melville is a genuine feeder into higher cricket level. For me, growing up, cricket shaped so much of my life. We used to watch cricket in our lounge room with all the windows blacked out, with blankets, drinking iced coffee, going to the beach, coming back, watching the Boxing Day test day in every year. So I do know what it's like. I played cricket out in Geraldton and got best first year player, I've just got to say, played silly mid-on. But clubs like Melville make these dreams possible now for boys and for girls. And I just want to end, if I can move my screen up, to say that this will strengthen local cricket, this investment. I applaud the amendment that Councillor Robbins put forward. It's also going to strengthen junior development and it's going to help build community. It'll bring families together, keep people active, and it'll give senior players who mentor and inspire the opportunity to do so. It's very small compared to the value returned, protects an elite pathway, supports gender equity, sustains a club that represents Melville with pride. So I'm proud to second this item. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Wheatland. And Councillor Barber, can you wrap up the debate?
Yes, happy to wrap up, Madam Mayor. I would like to thank Councillor Robbins for her amendment. That was great. Councillor Silly Midon, Councillor Wheatland for her comments. She's quite right. I do apologise. I forgot women. Melville have 2 senior women's teams, 2 junior women's teams, 4 senior men's teams, 4 junior men's teams. And as I've already talked about, their liaison with the community and Applecross Cricket Club. I'd like to thank President Mark Herbert from the Melville Cricket Club, President Mark Hullett from Applecross Cricket Club for all the hard work you and your committees do.
Madam Mayor, point of order. Is this rebuttal? Is this meant to be rebuttal?
No, it's not a rebuttal. It's wrapping up the debate. Are you wrapping up?
The Mayor asked me to wrap up the debate.
Yes.
I believe it's rebuttal.
No, I'm thanking people.
Yeah, you can't introduce new material. You need to remain in whatever you introduced in the beginning.
The names of the presidents. Oh.
Thank you.
All right then. Well, I'm rebutting Councillor Woodall's request to not give money to the Melville Cricket Club because roads, rates, recreation, that's our bread and butter, everybody. So this is our bread and butter. We support the Melville Cricket Club and I hope you support this motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Barber. Now we're going to the vote. So if you agree with this amendment, vote green, and if you don't, it's red. Thank you. This is the substantive motion as amended by Councillor Robbins. Carried 9-1. Thank you. So that is the end of the item. It has been carried as amended. Okay, now we're going back to the beginning of the agenda, the reports, and that is M2558, Local Government Extraordinary Election 2026. Could I have a mover and seconder for the officer recommendation? Councillor Ross and Councillor York. Okay, we need an absolute majority. Is there anyone against this recommendation? If there is no one against the recommendation, I declare it carried. Moving on to the next item. Okay, we're moving on to item C25329, election of representatives, City of Melville advisory groups and committees and external advisory groups. So we have a number of people who have put their names forward. Now, Okay, elected members have a copy of nominations received so far. So please also be advised that the Melville Local Emergency Management Committee is chaired by the Mayor, as well as requiring an elected member and deputy elected member representative. This has been updated in the recommendation and shown on the screen in blue. Now, before tabling the officer recommendation, there are a number of committees which have more nominations than required. You have a list on your desk. If anyone would like to move their nomination, the following committees and working groups are seeking: a deputy representative for the Melville Local Emergency Management Committee. Is there somebody who'd like to be a deputy? Councillor Panayotu, you are a representative, so you won't need to be a deputy.
Yes, Madam Mayor, just to get some clarity with this. So, as I understand, there's one position there for the representative and one for the deputy for this Emergency Management Committee?
Just let me check. I think the best thing is we just go through what is in front of us. Now, that was a good question you raised. Okay, so with the Melville Local Emergency Management Committee, the Mayor is the chair, that's myself, and Councillor Panayotu is the second representative. You are automatically on there. There is no deputy. Yes, well, we're looking for a deputy. Does anyone wish to be a deputy? No. Okay, so let's leave it as
If
that.
nobody wants to do it, Madam Mayor,
Pardon?
I'll do it if nobody else
Councillor
wants
Woodall,
to.
thank you very much. Well done. Now, Melville Citizens Relief Fund, I did not put my name down for this, but suddenly, for some reason, it did appear there. So we have two people who want to be representatives. That's Councillor Green and Councillor Spanbrook. If one would like to be the deputy, that we don't need an election.
Madam Mayor, may I ask a question?
You can, Councillor Barber.
So, you said you didn't put your name down there, but it's there, and I wondered...
In error, yes, it was put there.
Oh, so if you don't want it to be there, shouldn't Councillor Green and Councillor Spanbrook be the main two people?
Yeah, but there's
Oh, it's
only one representative. If you
Oh.
see the number one...
Got you, so it's not...
And
yeah.
what I'm suggesting is one or the other becomes a deputy, but Councillor Green's not here to ask. So, Councillor Spanbrook, would you consider being a deputy or would you prefer to go to ballot?
I'd really like to be the rep, but I have no problem being deputy just for the sake of time. So that's fine. You can put me down as deputy. Thank you.
Okay, I would understand that they would not object to the Councillor Spanbrook. Hello? I'm sure they wouldn't object if you were notified about the meetings and attended. I don't think they would object.
Well, I've done quite a bit of work with them actually, with Melville Citizens Relief Fund, and I would prefer to be the rep. So I don't mind going to a vote. Actually, I would prefer to go to a vote if you don't mind. Yeah.
Let's go with a vote then. All right, thank you. So let's go to the next one. Safer Melville Advisory Committee. That was where I had put my name down. I have discussed this with Councillor Panayotu and... Oh, yeah, well, we're just waiting for the ballot papers. So I'm just having a conversation about this one. I did mention that to Councillor Panayotu, but I noted that there's only one deputy representative. However, the Safer Melville Committee would like to have as many elected members involved, and there would be no objection to a deputy representative. And Councillor Panayotu, can you confirm that you were happy to be a deputy?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, I'm happy to be deputy. Yep.
Thank you. Then we have two deputies. You will be notified about meetings and you can attend. Okay, so we have a Youth Sports Scholarship Assessment Panel. We have Councillor York, Councillor Hong And we are missing a person. Would somebody like to go on the Youth Sports Scholarship Assessment Panel? Councillor Wheatland. Are there any other nominations? Oh, sorry, did I miss somebody?
No, I was just circulating all of my groups around, so I was intended it to be vacant. But I can be the deputy if no one wants to be the deputy. Oh, that's okay. I think because I've had 2 years of it, so I think I want to give someone else a
Councillor Wheatland, you have a go, and Councillor Lim can be the deputy. Yeah. Okay, is everybody happy with that? Okay, let's do that then. We are now ready for the vote on the Melville Citizens Relief Fund.
Madam Mayor, while we do that, is it possible to have 2 deputies for the Youth Sports Scholarship Assessment Panel?
Oh, I don't see why not.
Could I please be
Yeah,
deputy?
of course
I'm
you
happy
can.
to be deputy too, so that I would only be called up if there's 2 people that come.
Absolutely. I think everybody would appreciate that. Thank you. We've got the Climate Action Advisory Group next while we're waiting for the results of the ballot. And myself and Councillor Wheatland are in as representatives. Councillor Hong seems to have put her name down. Do you think, oh, there doesn't seem to be a deputy. I don't know why there's no deputy. Why isn't there? Is there any reason? It seems strange.
It's just not in the terms of reference, but we could have a deputy. It's not really an issue because it's our own reference group. So if you really like to have a deputy, if other elected members are not available, all elected members can attend these as observers anyway.
Oh, so you can all attend. But let's put, if everybody's happy about that, Councillor Hong, we don't know how she's travelling, and if we put her as a deputy representative, she can come anyway. In fact, you can all come. So would everybody be happy with that? Would that be reasonable rather than going to a ballot? Yeah. Okay, thank you. Okay, now then we come to external groups. Belia Regional Park Community Advisory Committee. There's nobody. Would anybody like to be involved in that committee? No one's rushing. I think we've got a result, so you can have a think about it. We have the CEO, Ms Bowman, who is going to declare the ballot. Councillor Spanbrook is the member, and we have deputy is Councillor Green. Okay, resolved. External Advisory Group. Have you thought about the Belia Regional Park Community Advisory Committee? Has anybody thought about it? Okay. Oh, Councillor Robbins, you're interested?
Yes, I'm jumping out of my skin, but yes, yeah. I will happily do it because Professor Phil Jennings is a great guy, so more than happy to do that.
All right. Well, if nobody else wants to, I can be your deputy. Oh, it's not required. Okay. No, well, there you go. It's resolved.
So, deputy, if a deputy isn't required, does that mean we cannot have one? Because it just seems a shame that if I can't attend, then we don't have a representative.
That's the disappointing thing about it, that if you can't attend, it means nobody's there.
Yeah, so...
I think it's disappointing. Can we ask them if I can be that representative in the event that Councillor Robbins can't attend? Yeah, would you do that? Because I think you're quite right in what you say there. Okay, so we have Swan River Trust. We have 2 who put their name down, and we have one deputy. And Councillor Barber has also put her name down as a representative. So, Councillor Barber, did you want to go to the vote? Pardon? Pardon? You'll do which? Do you want to think about it for a minute, and we'll go down a few more? Let's have a ponder. Let's move on to Councillor. Yes. Yeah. What? Yep. What does that mean? Yep. Yes. You want to go to a ballot? Okay. Right, while we're waiting for that, we've got the Jandakot Airport Community Aviation Consulting Group. We have Councillor Spanbrook as the representative, Councillor York as the deputy. Is there anybody else who wishes to put their hand up? If no one wishes to put their hand up, we now have those two representatives in position. Melville Cares Inc. Does not require an elected member to be appointed. Number 5, Melville Coburn Chamber of Commerce. I'm the representative, and we can have 2 deputies. So Councillor Hong can be a deputy.
We're going to ask a question.
Oh, yes, what question?
Due to your position, can't you go to everything anyway? Do you have to be voted on as a representative?
Yeah, as far as I know, I do. These are external committees. Am I correct?
The MCCC, you could be there any time.
I don't know.
Melville Chamber of Commerce. And even the Swan River Trust.
Well, all of you can actually attend the Melville, Melville Coburn Chamber. Everybody can go. The only thing is they just want to have somebody who will turn up, in other words, a representative, a designated representative, so they know somebody will come. That's the only reason why we're doing that. But all of you can attend. There is absolutely no reason. Does everybody get an invite, or is it just the representatives? Because they would be delighted to have everybody along. I can tell you that right now. It's not a closed shop by any means. Okay, we're ready for the vote on the Swan River Trust. So let's keep Melville Coburn Chamber of Commerce with 2 deputies and myself, and anyone who wants to go. We can, if you are interested, we can circulate that. Would you want that circulated and have the opportunity to go? I don't know, I'm asking the question. No, if you want to go on the list, we can just put you on the list, and then you'll get a...
No, it's not me. I just thought you could go anywhere, and I was thinking maybe that meant Councillor York would be the head honcho.
Yeah, no, well, he'll go anyway. He'll get a invitation. So, no, external things I have to actually apply for. While we're waiting for that, Perth South West Metropolitan Alliance has myself and the CEO as permanent representatives. 7, Perth South West Metropolitan Alliance Environmental Reference Forum. Is there any nominations for that? Anybody interested? I hear it's very interesting.
Yeah, I used to do it. I used to be the rep, and it's a really lovely group. But they meet Thursdays, 4 times a year, Thursdays around midday, and so I can't do it anymore. So if anybody'd like to do it, it's a great group. Yeah, it's
anyone
just
free
Thursday
midday?
Lunches and meetings.
Do you want to think about it a minute? Okay, well, let's ponder, because we do need a representative. Metropolitan Regional Road Group, Southwest Subgroup, representatives. Oh, looks like a ballot on this one. Okay, so we just leave that for a moment. I think we have a result, do we? Well, have a think about the last one, the Metro Regional Road Group, Southwest Subgroup. Gosh, there's a big interest in that. Perhaps some of you might like to move to the environmental one.
I'm happy to withdraw from that one, Madam Mayor.
Okay, Councillor Robbins.
I'll withdraw from that one, Madam Mayor.
Who's that? Oh,
That's
Councillor Barber. So we've got a representative, Councillor Green. And we've got 3 deputies. Did you want to stay deputies?
Madam Mayor, I'm happy to withdraw for... Oh, you have to go to a vote. I just realised I was going to
No, we don't have to go to a vote on deputies.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm happy to withdraw.
Pardon? Are you withdrawing?
Oh, you're saying that you can have 3 deputies?
Well, I don't know. It says 1.
But if Councillor Panayiotou would like to be the deputy, if there's only 1, well,
So
then
you're
no
happy to
problem.
withdraw, are you?
Yeah, but otherwise, if they can have more deputies, I'm happy to be a deputy as well. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know. I think we'd have to ask for advice on that one. Okay, I think we have a result. It was a tied vote for the Swan River Trust. What do we do? What do we do? All right, if you desperately want to be that member, I am happy to defer to you, Councillor Barber. I will withdraw in favour of Councillor Barber. Pardon? I said I just withdrew from the Swan River Trust. Oh, thank you. And that one, does that have a deputy? Oh, yes, it's got Councillor Panayiotou. Oh, okay. Did you want to swap places, Councillor Panayiotou, and I become the deputy and you perhaps go on to the environmental one? What's happened is I have deferred to Councillor Barber to become the member, but I would like to be the deputy, but you're the deputy at this point. So there's 2 deputies, we can't have 2. We can only have 1. I'm just asking if you're happy to retire from that one and go on to the environmental one where we have no one. Oh,
That was a question?
it was a question.
Yeah.
Was that a clear question?
I'd prefer to stay on the Swan River. That's
would you?
As a deputy.
Okay, well, I don't particularly want to attend the environmental one. It's not maybe a big one. Can you also be on the environmental one?
If nobody else wants to do it, why not?
Thank you very much. We really appreciate that. Have we got a deputy? No.
Wait, can I just ask a question? Do we have to decide tonight on those roles, or could we ask the members that aren't here, like Councillor Hong or Councillor Green, or...
Well, Councillor Hong did put her hand up for various things, and so did Councillor Green. So we've already had their input.
As well.
Pardon?
So did everyone else.
Sorry, I missed that.
Everyone else has. I just thought that if you're asking other people tonight whether or not they want to step in, so maybe offer that as well.
Oh, you mean extend it to...
Yeah, yes.
We'll also ask if we can have 2 representatives for the Swan River Trust. Ms Bowman, CEO.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So with the Perth South West Environmental Forum, if we could have the main representative hopefully decided tonight by council, and then we could request that the deputy role be considered at a later date. But it would be useful to have someone appointed tonight because the forum will be wanting to meet. And I think Councillor Barber has already mentioned this, but it's quite an important group. They looked at the owl-friendly work. They looked at the fox tracking work. So they're actually quite an active group, and it would be important to have a City of Melville representative on that regional forum. Thank you.
Councillor Lim, you had a question?
Yeah, so I admire Councillor Panayiotou, so I'll be the deputy representative for the environment.
Thank you. Much
forum.
appreciated. Okay,
Yeah,
so
thank you.
Councillor Wheatland.
It's just that they meet at midday on a Thursday, so that's really hard for a lot of elected members that work. So is there any way they can change their meeting date to stop being such a hindrance or a barrier for people that are keen to do it to attend or to nominate?
Ms Bowman?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We can put that request to the Perth South West Group. I'm sure they would be willing to consider that. And so obviously they're not here to check with tonight, but we can go back and speak with the staff who actually coordinate that group.
Okay, I think that's everything. Oh, hang on. No, we've got the Metropolitan Regional Road Group. I think we might have resolved it. We've got Councillor Green as the representative. We've got two there, Councillor Panayiotou as a deputy, and can we also ask if we can have a second deputy, Councillor Hong? And then what happens if they say no to all of these requests? Yes, Ms Newman will advise us accordingly. All right, thank you. I think we've
Madam Mayor,
covered it.
Councillor Paniotou's got a question.
Councillor Panayiotou.
Yeah, just confirming that last one, Madam Mayor, we've got three deputy representatives.
Sorry, can you say which was the last one? Are you talking about Metropolitan Regional Road Group? You are. You're
Yes,
talking
that's
about that one. We have one representative, Councillor Green. We have two deputies, yourself and Councillor Hong. And we're going to ask if we can have a second deputy. Councillor Spanbrook.
Jay Spanbrook's name there as well, in case you didn't see that.
Yeah, no, I thought you withdrew. You haven't withdrawn.
Well, no, not now that you're going to have two, no. I was only doing it, if you're going to have one deputy only, I was happy for Councillor Panayiotou to do it.
Right.
But now that you're going to choose two, I would like to remain in it. Thank you.
No, if we're choosing two, because it's not really up to us to choose them. We have to ask. So now we've got three. Maybe we better go back to one. And
Mayor, just to check, has Councillor Hong, is she on other committees at the moment? I wasn't taking much notice.
let me see. We've got her on the Youth Sports Scholarship. We have her... Oh. She's a deputy on climate action. Let me see what else. No, that was the only other one. Oh, yeah, she's a deputy on the Melville Coburn Chamber. We've accepted another person as a deputy. And she's down on the Metro Regional Road Group.
Okay, thank you. I would like to go to the vote then, if that's what you plan on doing, because I have actually attended the South West Regional Road Group, and this one actually complements it. So thank you.
Councillor Panayiotou.
Madam Mayor, I'm happy to remove my name from the deputy representative.
Want your name removed now?
Sorry?
Okay, so Councillor Spanbrook and we have Councillor Hong. So
Are we
what do we
doing
do now?
one or two reps? I'm a bit confused.
Well, it says here one.
Okay,
So
sorry.
we're going by what this says.
Apologies, take me out of it. I thought you were going to choose two, so I'm getting confused because
No, well, if you withdraw, then we've only got Councillor Hong.
Well,
as a
Councillor
representative.
Panayiotou may, because he's only been on one or two, I think, so I would like to withdraw for him to return to it, if that's possible.
Okay, so this is the situation. We're only going to request if we can have a second representative. That's all we can do. These are not our committees. The committees that we own, we can make up the rules, so to speak. We can probably have a little bit more elected member input, but when they're external agencies, we have to ask them. So in this case, we're looking for one deputy, and at the moment we've only got Councillor Hong because both of you have withdrawn. Councillor Panayiotou and Councillor Spanbrook have withdrawn. Are you happy to have withdrawn? Or would you like us to ask for a second representative?
No, I'm actually happy to withdraw.
You are?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Sorry.
Right, so Councillor Spanbrook, you're happy to withdraw, so Councillor Hong is that person. She is the deputy now. All right. So now we need a mover and seconder of all of that, please. Can somebody move and second it? Councillor Woodall, seconded Councillor Panayiotou. Anyone against? If no one's against, I declare it carried. Thank you. Moving on to the next item, which is C25-334, Development Assessment Panel, City of Melville representation. That the council nominates, I think you can read it there in front of you, or it's not in front of you, that the council nominates Councillor Robbins and Councillor Barber as the City of Melville Development Assessment Panel members for the term commencing on the 27th of January. Item 2, you have it now in front of you. Nominates Councillor Green and Councillor Hong as the City of Melville Development Assessment Panel alternative members for the term commencing on the 27th of January. Item 3 confirms that Councillor Green is to be Development Assessment Panel Alternative Member 1. Councillor Hong is Development Assessment Panel Alternative Member 2. Item 4 requests the Chief Executive Officer to forward the confirmation of the City of Melville nominees for the Development Assessment Panel to the DAP Secretariat. Okay, can I have a mover and seconder, please? Councillor Whitland, seconded Councillor York. Is there anyone against? No one against? I declare it carried. Thank you. Okay, C25-331, Statements of Financial Activity for September. Can I have a mover and seconder, please? Councillor Wheatland, seconded somebody? I need a seconder. This is important. We need an absolute majority. Thank you, Councillor Lim. Is there anyone against? Got enough? Okay, just checking the quorum. Okay, if no one is against, I declare it carried. Okay, next item, C25-334, Development Assessment Panels, we have done. I think this is a new one. We've got CD 2551, request from, no, Melville Premier, no, we've done that one. Just finding the next one. I think we've got to it. UP 2589, proposed scheme amendment, lots 8, 100, 54, 55, Canning Beach Road, Applecross, R12.5 to R40. We have an officer's recommendation. Can we have a mover and seconder, please? Can I have a mover? Thank you, Councillor Ross. Is there a seconder? Oh, we're struggling here. We'll take the question then.
Thank you. I was on the I thought that I just wanted to know. Sorry, through you, Madam Mayor. Was there conversations going on with the applicants on this scheme amendment in relation to considering R30 instead of R40, please?
Mr Varellas, can you help us with this matter?
Through the chair, respectfully, I will defer to the manager strategic planning. He's had those direct engagements and is best placed to provide that information.
Thank you, Mr Ponton.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, it adds to your question. Yes, we have been in communication with the applicant up until this point in time. However, the applicant hasn't been able to secure confirmation from all the parties subject to the application. But yes, we have been talking to the applicant about the option of deferring the application to allow for some additional engagement with the surrounding community, and also the question of a more appropriate R coding.
Okay, thank you.
So am I able to defer this motion, Madam Mayor?
Well, you don't need to defer it if we can't get a seconder. It just lapses through lack of a seconder.
And what would the implication of that be?
Look, it appears we don't have a seconder, but we do have an alternative motion that you may be interested in, that this has not been circulated. The officers have prepared it. Can we have a look at that one, please? Doesn't appear to be. I think they're finding it. Mr. Vrelis.
Through the chair, based on the conversations that happened at the agenda briefing forum, city officers have prepared motions that this could go a number of ways, and they're with governance. But I just wanted to advise that the reason why we did that was because of the nature of the conversations at ABF, and we wanted to be prepared for this evening in case council pivot in another direction. So that's the reason why we had that pre-prepared.
So you have it in front of you now that the council resolved to defer consideration of proposal to amend the zoning of those numbers. A, review of the proposed R codes for the subject land. B, undertaking preliminary engagement with nearby owners and occupiers with respect to the proposed amendment. And item 2, a further report to be presented to council following completion of A and B above to consider initiative of scheme amendment. That probably sounds more in line with the discussions the other night. So I need a mover and seconder. Yes, Councillor Spanbrook. Oh, sorry, Councillor Wetland.
Thank you, Mayor, and apologies for all the questions, but through you to the plan, probably to Mr Ponton actually, is this a similar outcome as to what it was when we did the previous scheme amendment from R12.5 to R30 at the residences that sit along their neighbours a few years back? I know we had a couple of bites at the cherry. Because I went back and had a look at it, and I'm pretty sure one of the, there was a deferral to do something like this. I just wanted to know if you can recollect if it was a similar deferral with A and B, review the proposed R codes and to undertake preliminary engagement with nearby owners, etc.
Have you got a response, Mr Ponton?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. There are some similarities with this application, such as the need to consider an appropriate R coding if the amendment is going to be initiated, and secondly, the boundary of the amendment area if it was to proceed. And similarly with the other application, we were at that stage in the early throes of a review of local planning scheme 6, so there was that question of do you hold off until that review has progressed somewhat. From memory, council proceeded with the initiation of that amendment without further preliminary engagement, but there are those sort of assessment considerations, similarities between the two.
Okay, so I am looking for a mover and seconder. Are these the hands going up? Councillor Ross? Councillor Barber? Councillor Ross, is that a question rather than moving?
Yes, it is a question.
Oh, let's do the question first then.
I moved, it's a point of order if anything. I have moved the amendment, moved the motion. By now it should have lapsed, and I think that's where it stands at the moment. It's lapsed.
Yes, it's lapsed through lack of a seconder.
There's no need for deferral because it's lapsed. So shouldn't we be moving on to another item?
That was going to be my question. Did we, before we did an alternate motion, did we have to accept the procedural motion first?
Let's have it. We'll be with you in a moment. We'll just sort this out. Thank you for the question. Look, we'll just adjourn for a few minutes until we sort this out. Thank you. Okay, I think we're going to re-adjourn the meeting, so if you could take your seat, that would be good. Thank you. Resume resume the meeting. Now, because there was questions and interruption, and I did see that Councillor Lim had his hand up and he has just advised me he was attempting to second the motion. So I'm now going to go back to that motion and ask again, Councillor Ross, you're moving that motion. Let's clear it up. Officer recommendation, you moved it originally. You're withdrawing it. Okay, so it's withdrawn now. You won't be moving it. Okay, well, it appears we don't have a mover at this point.
Could I just ask a question to clarify?
Yes.
So Mr Varela said before that there's a couple of alternate motions waiting in the wings. Shouldn't we see what those are before we proceed? Like, how do we know what our options are if we haven't seen them? Like, at the moment, we can either move a deferral or someone else can make up their own alternative motion. But it would be nice to see what the officers have prepared.
Okay, thank you. We're going to move on to the next item. No, nothing will be tabled at this point. It will have to go to the next council meeting.
We're saying it's lapsed.
See, if I declare it lapsed, that means this is not to be considered at this meeting. And because any other alternative motion has not been circulated, we need to, I think the CEO perhaps can give some clarity on this. Thank you, Ms Bowman.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So it was really officers who were just preparing potential options in case an elected member wished to foreshadow that they wanted to move another motion. But because there have been no elected members who had actually identified that they'd like to proceed with an alternative option, and then the Mayor has already declared that this matter has lapsed for want of a seconder. I just want to clarify that this report will come back to council again, or a report will come back to council again. There is no time constraint regarding this item having to be considered tonight by council. So because it's lapsed for want of a seconder, you can then speak with officers regarding potential other options, and then before the report comes back to council again, an elected member may wish to move or have a motion with notice considered, an alternative motion considered at a later date when it comes back to council. So there's no time constraint regarding this having to be considered tonight. There will be a report that comes back to council at a later date, and if you wish to speak with officers about alternative options, then please contact the Director of Planning. Thank you.
In that case, I'm happy to pick up the moving of the motion that Councillor Ross let go of.
The matter is closed, unfortunately. So that's what we were just clearing up, is the matter's closed until next month.
Can I just query that? Because we had a mover, we had a seconder, the mover withdrew, and now all of a sudden it's lapsed.
Well, what happened was we had a mover. I asked for a seconder. We didn't get one immediately. Councillor Wheatland asked a question. Then Councillor Lim had his hand up. I didn't ask him what his hand up was for.
Yeah, but then you went back to him and said, oh, sorry, I missed you. You were seconding it, and you approved him as the seconder.
We're not quite. Oh, Councillor Ross had already withdrawn.
Yeah, and so now I'll step in to be the mover, and then Councillor Wheatland can move her deferral motion as she would have liked with Mr Varellas's wording that's been conveniently pre-prepared. Madam Mayor,
Since we're in November, our December council meeting is very early. It's on the 9th of December, very, very early. So we're not going to be waiting very long to see the officers' other motions reappearing, councillors putting forward alternative motions or recommendations. So we don't have very long to wait. It's probably better to let things go as they are and have another look at it, and we don't have very long to wait. And as the officers have explained, there is no time constraint on this. So it's probably better to let it go and have something a little bit more in line with what our questioning was at the APF.
great. Could I just confirm then that, so it's not a deemed refusal in the absence of a decision because it's not a development application, is that right?
Ms Bowman.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Robbins. No, so there's no decision that's been made because it was declared as lapsed for want of a seconder. So there's no decision made, doesn't require any rescission motion or anything else. It's not a refusal. Council has not made a decision on this tonight, so an officer will prepare a report to come back to Council for this item again at the December Council meeting. Thank you.
And can you please confirm it's not like a building application or something like that that has a certain amount of days, then it's deemed refusal if we don't have a decision within that time frame? Can you just confirm that, please? Mr Varellas, can you just respond to that, please?
Through the chair, I'll just need a moment. Through the chair.
Mr Varellas.
Thank you for the query. Based on the information that I've been able to obtain in that short period of time, it does not appear so.
Pardon, it is what? Sorry?
It does not appear so to have timeframes associated with it based on the information I've been able to obtain in that short period of time.
Thank you. So we're not constrained by time. We can bring this to the next council meeting. I think that was the concern. So thank you very much, Mr Varellas. Has that answered everybody's queries? All right, good. Then we're moving on to the next item, which is UP 2590, Compliance and Enforcement Policy. So prior to tabling the officer recommendation, I remind Council of the written submission received from the City of Melville Residents and Ratepayers Association, included in the notes of the agenda briefing forum. Can I have a mover and seconder for the officer recommendation? Councillor Woodall moved. Is there a seconder? Councillor Robbins seconded. Councillor Barber.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a deferral of this motion, please?
Okay, well, we first of all need to hear some debate and then we can go to that. We can hear your procedural motion. Councillor Woodall.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll keep it relatively brief. This compliance and enforcement policy has been through quite a significant, history with council. It's gone to a number of EMIS and related meetings. Elected members who have been around for a while may recall that Councillor Fitzgerald initially had proposed changes with various detailed matrices, which appeared to be quite positive at first glance, but when worked through with officers, there were a number of issues, I think, identified. And so through the course of that, we've arrived at this current policy, and that's where we stand today. I would just make the point in support of the policy that I think we should have the policy in place and operating, and so that staff can then make operational policies that sit below that, and so there's clear direction from council. And I would suggest that if there are additional concerns or additional details that elected members feel should be added to the policy, then the correct course of action, I believe, would be to put the policy in place now and then make changes to the policy at a subsequent council meeting, which can address any concerns or shortcomings that elected members may feel are there. But personally, I feel it's been through a pretty comprehensive process. I'm comfortable with it, but I would be very happy if elected members do think there are improvements to be made at a future meeting to make amendments or changes to the policy, and it could perhaps go to the policy committee as well. But I would suggest that in the interim we should have a policy in place that will help provide direction to staff, and it's better than I think sort of leaving it in the ether as to what our approach is, which I believe it has been for some time now. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Woodall. Councillor Robbins, do you wish to speak now or later?
Later, please.
Thank you. Okay, so we have a mover of a Councillor Barber. Can you repeat your motion, please?
Yes, I'd like to defer the compliance and enforcement policy, please.
Do you have a particular date in mind?
Well, I'd probably need to speak to city officers, but I was thinking maybe till April next year. I thought February and March might be busy.
Okay, to April next year. All right, do you have a seconder? Yes. Councillor Panayiotou, seconded. Yes, Councillor Barber, do you wish to speak to it? Do you have 2 minutes?
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. Just to rebut Councillor Woodall, a couple of things. We don't have an interim policy. We've actually got a compliance and enforcement policy which we can carry on with quite adequately until April. Having said that, I do want to thank the city staff for all their work, in particular Mr Melville for all the work he's done on this. He did contact me, which I really appreciated. However, I do feel that the policy still, it's a very high level framework, and I think it's just perhaps a little bit too high, and I feel that we could certainly do with it a little bit more clarity. And that's why I would like to have a little bit more time for engagement with the new elected members. We've got some new expertise in legal and management, and I think that they should have an input. Councillor Woodall talked about historical information, and the history. One bit of the history of this is that we had a WEA report in 2021. And we paid a lot of money for this report, over $250,000 in fact. There were 19 recommendations, and this report is mentioned by the officers with this motion. And it actually says the report recommends the city improves elements in our policy with an approach on escalation of enforcement and improved communication with residents. And I think that I can't stipulate enough how important it is to communicate with our residents. Ever since I've got on council, I've been passionate about compliance, and I just really want us to get this right. So I think here's our time. I think there's room for tweaking. I don't think, as Councillor Woodall suggested, we should tweak after the fact. I think we should tweak before the fact and get it right. Unfortunately, there weren't any track changes, but in further reading, I see that we've pretty much rewritten this policy. So I just feel that there's room for some improvement, and if the council would agree, and if we could perhaps have a bit more engagement, possibly with those 66% of residents who did have issues, and new elected members and even old elected members, I think that would just be a fantastic thing. Thank you.
Councillor, I just wish to remind you that if you defer this, it comes back exactly as it is, and you will have to move amendments at the council meeting. You're aware of that?
Yeah, I think so. I think it just gives all of us time to maybe speak to our residents and find out exactly what they think, speak to the new elected members, and as Councillor Woodall said, maybe make tweaks here and there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor,
we have a motion on the table.
Before you go further, would I be able to ask one of the officers a question regarding this motion, regarding the officer recommendation?
It's a procedural motion.
Yeah, I know, but I just want to ask them, because I understand what you're saying about if you do go, defer it to April, it will return exactly the way it is. But in saying that, I understand that there can also be some engagement in between, so therefore, between the councillor and the officers, that they can actually perhaps, put a little bit more meat around the bone on this, and that's, could potentially be an
No,
issue.
it comes back as it is. That's it. No tinkering, no changing, nothing, as is. Okay, so you're all clear on that. So we have a procedural motion to defer this till April. So you're going to get exactly the same thing back in April, all right? Just as long as you're aware of that. Now, we're going straight to the vote because this cannot be debated. So we're proceeding to the vote. So the green is for deferring till April. Red is against. Red. It's against deferral. Green is for deferral till April as is. Red is against. I will cast a vote against. So that will be 6-5. So we're back to the recommendation as it stands. Do we have a speaker against? Speaker against? No speakers? Okay, so...
Do I speak again? I've just spoken against. Do you want to hear me again or not?
Well, you moved the deferral, but you can speak again if you wish, otherwise leave it at that. We've heard your debate. Is there another speaker against? Because I'll take a speaker for if there is another one against. Okay, if there's not, Councillor Robbins, do you wish to exercise your right to speak?
Happy to go to the vote, Madam Mayor.
Okay, and Councillor Woodall, do you wish to speak now? Okay, we're going straight to the vote. Green is for the officer's recommendation. Red is to reject the officer's recommendation, which is basically the policy. Oh, here I go again. Okay, I vote for the officer's recommendation. So that is carried 6-5. All right, moving on to Bull Creek Murdoch Train Station Precinct UP 2591. Prior to tabling this item, I remind the Council of the alternative motion with notice by Councillor Ross, the officer advice note relating to the alternative motion, the amendment by Councillor Spanbrook to the officer recommendation received last week, and the amendment by Councillor Woodall to the officer recommendation received today. Additionally, I advise the Council of an amendment from Councillor Robbins received this afternoon and provided in hard copy for you. As the alternative motion was received with notice, we will consider Councillor Ross's motion first before moving to the officer recommendation and amendments. So prior to tabling the motion, I also advise that Councillor Ross has made an amendment to the motion. This is shown in blue on the screen. Councillor Ross, do you wish to proceed?
Yes, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Do you have a seconder? Councillor Panayiotou. Thank you. Councillor Ross, can you open the debate?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The substantive motion as proposed, including the two proposed amendments, are all saying the city cannot progress these station precinct plans. They're saying it's too difficult, too expensive, and all of this is an open invitation to the Minister and the WAPC to step in and take over. On Sunday, the 16th of November 2025, the Minister for Planning and Land said, "My message to all local governments is this: do everything you can to cut and streamline housing approvals. We've got a choice. Do we shake things up, cut red tape, make more housing available, or do we just put our head in the sand?" Currently, the city is doing just that. It's keeping its head in the sand and providing an open invitation to the Minister and the WAPC to take control. This motion has its origins in a request from the community to deliver more housing in areas surrounding the existing transport hubs, rather than increasing density in already congested areas. The community came to the council and requested council to progress these plans at the annual general meeting on 3 February 2025. The city has obtained a consultant's report that recommends that no action be taken for the next 10 to 20 years. This recommendation conflicts with the state government's efforts to address the current housing shortage. If the council determines to do nothing in relation to progressing these plans, there is a risk that the state government will step in and do the planning for the city. There is a risk of the Minister responding to a request from the community for the plans to be progressed by taking over the process. Progressing the plans now is in line with the state government's announcements, and consequently any request for state government assistance in terms of funding and improvements in the existing infrastructure that will enable these plans to provide the best outcomes will be more readily achievable. The choice is act now or lose control. Act now and take advantage of the state government's motivation to increase density and improve state government infrastructure as planned by the city, or run the risk of getting what the state government provides. Maintaining control of the plans will allow height limits and density to be controlled and spread across the precincts so as to control congestion and provide public open space. A broad rezoning of density, as may be proposed by the state planners, could result in ad hoc developments that are not in keeping with the current amenity of the target areas. When this motion was first raised in November 2024, the projected costs, as mentioned by the Mayor, were estimated at $150,000 per precinct. The estimated costs are now $500,000, a more than 300% increase caused by the delay that will have to be paid by ratepayers. Even the consultant has admitted that delay will result in increased fragmentation of land use, renewal of dwellings, and reduced capacity to plan for higher density. The risks of doing nothing far outweigh the risks of moving ahead, so I ask you to support this motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ross. Councillor Panayiotou, do you wish to speak now or later?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, I'd like to echo Councillor Ross's comments. Pretty much that if we do not take the lead with this and create more of a proactive role, then someone else is going to end up doing it for us. So I see this is the work of the City of Melville to do, like any other area, and believe that, again, repeatedly, that we should just take the lead on this.
Thank you, Councillor Panayiotou. Now, do we have a speaker against? No? Okay, well, we seem to have...
I'd like to vote against, Madam Mayor.
You'd like to vote against. Would you like to speak against? No. Okay, thank you. So it appears there's no speakers. You're going to speak against. Councillor Wheatland.
Yeah, and look, I just want to speak against the fact that, apologies, Councillor Panayiotou, but the fact that the Minister's announcement on the weekend was talking about 12 local governments, I think, was it? Or 10 local governments a lot of them on the train line in the western suburbs and in Carlisle and other areas, Bassendean, I think, and other areas in the city that have not already taken steps to approach density around these activity centres. We have carried the weight. The City of Melville have carried a lot of density in Canning Bridge, as we see every day, wherever we stand in the city, because we can see those booming big towers everywhere. We have also carried the density in Murdoch currently. But in these other areas, they've got 12.5, R12.5 zoning right next to an activity centre, and they're not willing to budge on that. So what the Minister did say is that local governments should act, but our role is not to act on activity precinct planning. It's on all the other things that underpin that in our local planning schemes, in our scheme reviews, in our advocacy, not detailed precinct plans. What I'm afraid of, one of the big concerns I've got with this alternate motion is the cost it may have on our residents and ratepayers. If we go ahead and do this work, and then in 12 months' time or 18 months' time, when the state government have implemented these 10 other activity precinct plans, and then they turn their lens to a different area and they look at Melville and they overturn everything that we've done. The money that we've spent could be a 1% rate increase for our residents and ratepayers. That is my concern, and that is the only reason why I'm speaking against this motion.
Right, thank you very much, Councillor Wheatland. Are there any speakers against? Because then I'll take a speaker for. If there's not, I will then ask Councillor Ross to please wrap up the debate. Councillor Ross.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I note what Councillor Wheatland is concerned about, and that's exactly the concern that residents and the community have about delay. The Minister has been fairly clear. The respondents from other areas have been also very clear that by producing a plan, it provides certainty for developers, and it also provides certainty for the residents in the area. So any plan that is proposed before it actually is able to be implemented will have to be passed by WPC and by the Minister. So there is no danger of the Minister coming in or WPC coming in later and overturning a plan that's been prepared by a local government and approved. We're looking for ghosts where there are none. What we should be doing is moving ahead with these plans, taking advantage of the fact that there is a large demand for housing, and there is support from the state government for areas that are going to use their initiative to increase the density and come up with plans that are workable. So I think we need to put aside our fears and move ahead with this, because there is no question that if the community go to the Minister and ask them to step in, they will very likely take that opportunity. So I seriously ask that you take this opportunity now before control is taken away from the city. So thank you, and I ask you to support the motion.
All right, we now proceed to the vote. So all those in favour of Councillor Ross's alternative motion, vote green. If you are against, vote red. That is lost 4-6. Okay, so now we're moving on to Okay, so I need to get the officer recommendation on the table. Can I have a mover and seconder, please?
Madam Mayor, I'll move the officer recommendation because I know there's quite a few amendments to come through. Is that correct? So I'm happy to put it on the table.
Thank you. And we need a seconder? No, if you have an amendment, you cannot second. I need a seconder for the officer's recommendation. All right, Councillor Lim. Thank you. So we have mover is Councillor Wheatland and Councillor Lim seconding. Okay, thank you very much. Councillor Wheatland, do you wish to open the debate? Councillor, we do have amendments, but did you want to start by opening the debate? Or are you happy to go straight to amendments? Okay. Councillor Lim, do you wish to speak now or later?
Later, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Lim. So let's talk about the next amendment on the list, which is Councillor Spanbrook. So Councillor Spanbrook's amendment, the council is advised that changes to the amendment have been received late this afternoon. The changes are shown in blue. There we go. Yeah, I think the word incorporate probably needs a capital I, but that's fairly minor. So a few small changes. Yes, okay, some changes. So have you familiarised yourself with the changes?
Madam Mayor.
So pardon?
In point 2, I think the word undertake will still be needed for it to read properly. Oh, sorry, I thought the blue was the bit being taken out, sorry.
Is everything okay now? Okay, so now we have it on the board. We have got Councillor, hang on, Spanbrook moved. Now we need a seconder. Who is going to second? Councillor Woodall. All right, Councillor Spanbrook, can you speak to your amendments?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Some of my comments, I've actually taken them out because they've already been raised, just a minor couple. But the intention of my amendment is to take into consideration the recent announcement of the state government to fast-track housing around the train station precinct. What was interesting is the 10 locations identified did not include Bull Creek or Murdoch. It is worth noting that the council need to take into consideration that there are some, and I say only some, within our community that would like this to be prioritised, but at what cost? Would it be prudent for the City of Melville to go it alone? Of course it wouldn't be, as that would be financially unsustainable. All advice received is clear, and to commence without state government agencies' involvement would be truly irresponsible. But I do say, though, it is important that the City commence the process, and my amendment allows for that, but with some scope, but that is when the timing is right. I seek your support on this. Thank you.
Councillor Woodall, do you wish to speak now or later?
I would like to speak now, but actually to ask a question, Madam Mayor, in relation to the changes that have been made. What's meant by the phrase "at the appropriate time"?
Councillor Spanbrook, perhaps you're the best person.
Thank you. After some consultation with the officers, that initially I did have in there, to be considered within the 26-27 budget. However, I think it's actually much more prudent to just to take a pause on it for now. And as my second point states, that the City can actually commence at their time when it is appropriate to them, because even in saying that, at the moment, the officers are very much, are very busy, very much under the pump. And I think to push this out sooner than what we need to, I think it could have actually disastrous ramifications. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Woodall, do you have anything further to add? Okay, is there a speaker against? Councillor Ross.
I think that this amendment is simply kicking the can down the road. It's not, there's no definite time frame. An appropriate time could be any time. It could be tomorrow. It could be 20 years in the future. And all of these things that are proposed, station precinct planning, strong pedestrian cycle linkages, all of this goes with doing a plan. Just writing it down in an amendment doesn't actually take us anywhere. So it's neither helpful nor appropriate for this amendment to be there. So for that reason, I oppose it.
Okay, thank you. Is there another speaker against? Another speaker against. Okay, so what I'm going to look at is taking a speaker for. So can I have a speaker for? Is there no other speaker for? I'll take one more against before I go back to the mover. Thank you.
And
Councillor
look,
Whitlam.
it's not against the whole amendment. I concur with Councillor Ross. I thought this amendment was to undertake some community consultation and some really visionary interaction with the community to actually bed down the vision and aspirations for these areas, and also to include the connectivity pieces and the access ways and everything like that. And I am a little bit concerned at the appropriate time may not mean in a time frame that the community has raised concerns with us. So can I ask if we can vote on these two separately, please?
Yes, we can vote on them separately.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, perhaps I can put a time period in there if it's much more, palatable, to others.
Well, look, we've got these two, the 1 and 2, or 4 and 5 on the table. Let's look at them. We'll vote on them separately and see how we go on that. But before we do that, Councillor Woodall, did you wish to speak now, or I will go straight back to Councillor Spanbrook?
I'm happy to go to the vote, Madam Mayor.
Okay, Councillor Spanbrook, do you wish to speak?
No, happy to go to the vote.
Wrap this up,
Thank
go
you.
to the vote. Okay, we're going to vote on these two items separately. So item 4, we'll have the vote now. So if you support item 4, please vote green. If you do not support it, vote red. So it's only item 4, the amendment. Pardon? This item 4 is carried 8-2. Thank you, I declare it carried. And item 5. So we're going to the vote. Would it help if there was some clarity from the planner, Mr. Varelis, on time frame? Are you able to give us some advice on what that might mean? So that might help elected members understand the thinking behind that. Yeah, thank you.
Through the chair, thank you for the question. The timeframe can be stipulated by council. There were conversations between councillors and myself this afternoon to assist with phrasing this point, and it is open to council as to what timeframe it wants to pursue.
But I understood that there was an economy of scale by having the officers integrate the planning, the investigations with consultation. Would I be correct?
Through the chair, there would be economies of scale undertaking the structure planning process and community engagement as part of a broader contract.
Thank you. Okay, so now we're going to vote on item 5. So green is if you support and red is you do not. That is carried 7-3. Thank you. We're moving on to our next amendment. We're now on to Councillor Woodall's amendment. Councillor, do you wish to proceed?
Yes, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much. So now we have, I think, can we just remove the voting at the moment? Thank you very much. Amendment by Councillor Woodall. So just take a moment to familiarise yourself. This is an amendment to the officer's recommendation. All right, Councillor Woodall, do you have a seconder? Councillor Spanbrook? Okay, Councillor Woodall, do you wish to speak to that?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll keep it brief. The purpose of this amendment was really just to address some of the concerns, I guess, that were raised by the community around the initial sort of LPS 6 pre-consultation, if we can call it that. Particularly, I believe, around areas adjacent to Canning Highway and also parts of Ardros and Burragoon, where there were quite significant parts of those suburbs where I guess the concept of R40 or higher was being tested. This really is just asking the city to look at whether there are opportunities in some of the southern suburbs of the city, which perhaps as part of that pre-consultation weren't going to have as significant an increase in density. Just requesting the CEO to look into those areas and see if there are opportunities for moderate density increases in some of those areas to take the pressure off some of these other suburbs and Canning Highway as well, noting that there are other major roads such as South Street, Leach Highway, North Lake Road and so on that potentially could support a greater density around them, given the bus routes that are available in that area. So I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Spanbrook, do you wish to speak now or later?
I reserve my right. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Is there a speaker against? Councillor Barber.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I maybe it's me, but I like specificity in motions, and I'm finding again this quite vague. Southern part of the city, does that mean south of Kintail Road? Does it mean south of Marmion Street, south of Farrington Road? What does it mean?
Is that your debate?
Well, yeah, I think it's too vague. And I'll ask the mover of the motion, what does southern part mean? Can you be more specific, please?
Well, I'm happy to say the southern half of the city, if that would help. I was thinking of the southern section of the city as opposed to the northern section. So if you draw a line midway through, approximately. But I didn't want to go down to the detail of specifying exact suburbs because some suburbs cross, some suburbs stretch across multiple major roads. So
just thought a bit more direction. So if you wanted to put in there a line halfway through the city, that might be useful.
I'm happy to say southern half, if that would assist.
I think southern part, southern half. I don't know if it's half of the city. Is it half of the city? Because it would be a quarter if it's north, south, east, west, one would think. Southern, it's southern part would be probably more appropriate. Councillor Woodall, I don't think we need to really change that. I'm looking for, is there another speaker against? Let's get some idea of. You have a question, Councillor Ross.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. In terms of investigating the opportunities, if opportunities are found, would that be included in the amendments in the LPS 6 review? Is that the intention here?
Councillor Woodall.
Yes, that was my intention, yeah.
Councillor Ross, are you speaking against?
Can we make that a bit more, clarify that a bit better to make it more clear that that is what is intended?
Have you got
'Cause
some
it is
advice, some
vague.
words that you're interested in including?
To investigate opportunities and include increased densities to accommodate additional housing if...
Yeah, if perhaps investigate opportunities and include, you know, if appropriate, or where those opportunities are found, or wording to that effect.
Is that what you're getting at, Councillor Ross? Okay, let's have a look at that. Is the seconder happy to accept that? Councillor Spanbrook?
Yeah, maybe the comma did it, but still doesn't sound quite right though. Thank you.
Just Mr. Varellis would like to make a comment at this point, so let's hear what he has to say and we'll pursue this after.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, through the chair. It's talking to include opportunities for consideration. I think it's important that there is for consideration because ultimately council has to consider inclusion of those opportunities. The way that it's phrased is that they're being included. I think it's important that they're included for consideration. It's another decision of council at a future point in time.
Okay, have we, Councillor Woodall?
Madam Mayor, if I could suggest that the wording is to read, to investigate and include for consideration opportunities to accommodate additional housing density, etc.
That sounds a lot better. So just let's wait for the officers to capture that. Has it been captured? Yeah, I don't think we've quite got it. Can you repeat that, please?
I think it's just where it says to investigate opportunities. So in between investigate and opportunities, it would say to investigate and include, to investigate, comma, and include for consideration, comma, opportunities to accommodate additional housing density.
So take the first opportunities out.
Could we put in include
yes, Councillor
opportunities? Sorry. Sorry, I think just consideration leaves it open-ended as just consideration, but it should be included in the actual LPS 6.
Include for consideration in LPS 6?
Yeah.
Well, it says as part of the LPS 6 review at the beginning. It's sort of like you're repeating it again. Is that because you don't like the word review after LPS 6 on the first line? I'm not quite with you on what you're trying to achieve here.
My concern, Madam Mayor, is that as part of the review, you investigate and include for consideration, but it doesn't go that next step to if it's considered, then it is proposed as a recommendation. Because if we're breaking it up into steps, which is what we're doing here, it only goes as far as taking it to consideration, but not to then put it in as a recommendation for inclusion in the LPS 6 proposals.
Madam Mayor, if I could assist, perhaps if as part of the LPS 6 review is deleted and moved to after consideration, I think that might solve Councillor Ross's concern. So to be investigate and include for consideration as part of the LPS 6 review.
Does that capture it? Okay, I think you've done it. Thank you, Councillor Woodall. Let's have a read of that. Okay, have we successfully captured it? Perfect, thank you. Councillor Spanbrook, you're happy with the change? Okay, thank you very much. So we had a speaker against. Is there another speaker against so I can balance this debate? If there's not, I will ask Councillor Spanbrook if she wishes to speak.
Madam Mayor, I'm fine to go to a vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Woodall, do you wish to wrap up the debate?
Just to address Councillor Barber's concerns, I did discuss this amendment with officers, and I think they have an understanding of what southern part of the city means. But if there is any ambiguity, then if officers indicate there is any, I'm happy to clarify that. But I think there's a general understanding of what that means.
Okay, well, let's go to the vote then. So if you are supporting this amendment, please vote green. If you do not, you vote red. Carried unanimously. Thank you. Done. Councillor Robbins, here we are. Okay, so we're moving on to Councillor Robbins' amendment. Councillor, do you wish to proceed?
Yes, thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Robbins. You have an amendment there. We'll pause for a moment so everybody can familiarise themselves with it, and we'll look for a seconder. Okay, is anybody prepared to second this? Oh, Councillor Woodall. Thank you. And Councillor Robbins, please open your debate.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This amendment is largely administrative and really just aims to tidy up a couple of things and add some clarity. So the first point is that we replace the words local housing strategy with local planning strategy. This is really just to place emphasis on the document that will largely inform the changes, which is our local planning strategy that will be reviewed shortly. The second one is to replace the words accepts the following report recommendations to based on the report recommendations, which is really just to reflect the fact that the wording may not be exactly the same as what the report included, but just to make it clear that officers may have changed the wording a little bit and it may not reflect exactly the report recommendations, but is still based on those recommendations. The third one is just to change the language a little bit from what it was previously, which I don't have in front of me, but is really just to make it clear that we're not saying no to this, we're not saying that we're not going to develop increase residential development around the Bull Creek and Murdoch stations, but we're just saying that we are going to defer until we've had those key conversations with the state government, so that there's some work required before we jump straight into changing the zoning. And then lastly, it's just replacing the words delivery vehicle with planning process, just to make it more consistent with the language that is currently used by our officers and I think more broadly in the planning world. Thank you.
And just one question, was item 3, last line 1D changed to 2D by any chance administratively?
I think it was just a change from what's printed.
I know, I'm just asking a particular point that's not in your recommendation. Mr Varellis, can you please clarify in item 3, which we're not discussing as part of the amendment, this is the officer's recommendation, item 3, last line, it refers to item 1D. There is no item 1D. Can we have that changed administratively to 2D?
Through the chair, thank you for the question. Yes, that seems to have fallen off, and is consistent with the discussions that we had in arriving at this amendment.
Thank you, and that's nothing to do with the amendment of Councillor Robbins. I just want to make that clear. It was an administrative error that hadn't been picked up by anybody so far. Councillor Robbins, just confirming item 1, you said 1A when there's no 1A, but it was 2A. So we've just corrected that. Is that okay? All right, yes. She's confirming that's correct. All right, so you've already opened the debate on that. Now, we have the seconder, Councillor Woodall. Do you have anything to say?
Reserve my right.
Reserve your right. Is there a speaker against? Councillor Ross.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The reason I'm speaking against that is in relation to point 3, which, sorry, moved that away from what I was looking at, which reads, defer pursuing redevelopment opportunities within the Bull Creek and Murdoch Station precincts in the short term. This conflicts with the previous amendment, in my view, that requests that opportunities be looked at in the southern part of the city of Melville, which would include the Bull Creek and Murdoch Station precincts. So if an opportunity is found within one of these areas, it's being deferred. There's a conflict between the two, and for that reason I am speaking against this amendment. Thank you.
Am I able to ask Mr Varellis, is there a conflict? I'm just wondering. I'm not entirely sure I see a conflict, but is there a conflict? Perhaps you can help.
Through the chair, thank you for the request for clarification. As previously mentioned to councillors, the scheme review deals with the city across its entire local government boundary area. Precincts within that, like Burragoon, Canning Bridge, and what's been identified through the scheme review documentation, the Bull Creek and Murdoch Station precincts, while included more broadly within the scheme review, those areas are the subject to precinct and activity centre plans, which provide a generic zoning under our planning scheme and are enabled and enacted through that generic zoning with the detail and particulars within those individual activity centre plans. So the point from Councillor Woodall is to investigate opportunities in the southern half of the city as part of LPS 6 review, which is primarily land between our centres, not the centres themselves. So while opportunities may be identified and have been identified within the preliminary work that has been released for community consultation, the point won't conflict because of the way that the system operates in terms of activity centre plans, precinct plans, and general zonings, which are the subject of the scheme review, which is the land between those centres.
Just a clarification, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Ross, yes.
There are no precinct plans at the moment for the Bull Creek and Murdoch Station precincts. So I don't understand how that difference is being made.
Mr Varellis, can you respond to that, please?
Through the chair, under the state planning framework, station precincts require the preparation of precinct plans to work through the details of how those urban structures that support the development of those areas will come together. That's the process. It's through precinct planning. the local planning scheme 6 review that was released for preliminary comment identified those precincts as future investigation areas. And for the purposes of the planning framework and state guidelines, precinct plans are the vehicle for investigating density around the station precincts.
Ms Bowman, CEO.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr Verells can correct me, but there is actually the Murdoch Specialised Activity Centre as well, which is part of the one of the sections within the Murdoch train station precinct as well. So that does have an activity centre plan over that portion of it, just for further clarification. Thank you.
Through the chair, appreciate that, Madam CEO. That is the south eastern corner of the quadrants.
But still the southern part. It's got that word south in it. Okay, thank you. Councillor Woodall.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Just a follow-on question, which has just occurred to me, given the I think the preliminary maps that were released. But from memory, the area for further investigation stretched quite far west along South Street to, I think, the Cardinia Activity Centre even. So, given, or I presume not all of that area is considered part of the station precinct, given how far. So that will still be looked at for the purposes of my amendment, I would assume.
Mr Verells.
Through the chair, correct. That section was identified primarily due to its proximity to Murdoch University and its opportunities for potential student housing.
Thank you. Okay, so do I have another speaker against? Okay, then I'll go straight back to Councillor Woodall. He's not going to speak any further. Councillor Robbins, do you wish to wrap up debate?
That's okay, Madam Mayor. I'll leave it at that. Thanks.
All right, we'll proceed to the vote then. If you agree with the amendments to the substantive motion by Councillor Robbins, please vote green. If you do not, vote red. That is carried 7-3. Thank you very much. We're now back to the substantive motion as moved by Councillor Wheatland and Councillor Lim. So, are there any speakers against the recommendation as amended? Okay, there's no speaker against. I will ask Councillor Lim, do you wish to speak now?
Yeah, I'll make it short. So I think my reasoning as well is I first want to commend Councillor Ross for bringing this motion to the table. While I supported the...
this is not Councillor Ross's motion. This is the officer recommendation. You are aware of that.
Yeah, I mean like the investigation of... But yes, I'll take it back. So I'll commend Councillor Ross for his alternate motion, which I believe was a stronger sort of motion, but as it was lost, I still think the substantive motion has a lot of merits on its own. So it has the dialogue aspect of it. So I think it's important that we initiate these conversations with, the WAPC, with the Minister of Planning and the department as well. So I think all that still has a lot of merits. I do think that it's not, this substantive motion is not something that is worth sort of loss, because it's just the risk of missing that dialogue aspect of it, I think is too great. I would love that those who sort of, I would like to recommend that people that supported the alternate motion before to actually support the substantive motion, so we can present sort of a united front. As the City of Melville councillors, we all agree that it's important to have this dialogue and conversations going. So yeah, I think to me, there is a huge benefit to get this motion passed. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Lim. Councillor Wheatland, can you wrap up the debate?
Can I wrap up the debate without introducing new I can just speak to it now?
You can't introduce new material. What you can do is wrap up the debate.
Okay, I'll wrap up the debate. This is going to be difficult, but anyway, look, I want to support this emotion. I want to support this motion with emotion. No, not really. I actually concur with Councillor Lim's comments about Councillor Ross's motion that he brought forward, and that's why I was happy to move this motion with the amendments as we have carried, as they have been carried. God, my words aren't with me tonight. It's taking into consideration the concerns of the community, and also takes into consideration the feedback from the community that we have not heard from across the city. I think Councillor Woodall's amendment was excellent, and it is also looking at other opportunities in the southern area of the city, the southern boundary of the city, which is what the community is asking for, part of the community is asking for. You know, the community want action. They're concerned about repeating what's happening in Canning Bridge, and they want the city to listen. They want the city to listen to them. Let me just go to my other notes, which are here. Great. So density was delivered without infrastructure in Canning Bridge, and what Canning Bridge has taught us, if I just go back to my notes from what Councillor Ross was saying, is that there's a certainty to residents in producing a plan, and the plan simply, if we plan now, as Councillor Ross's motion stated, and we put it to the WAPC, it may not be approved. So then my point in this part is that the process to get to that plan would have cost the ratepayers money, right? And so the cost of doing all that work and having it not approved is a big impost on residents and ratepayers when we have such a high focus on reducing our rates. And, you know, and if we spend all that time producing a plan and it's not approved, we're going to be in the same boat as the Canning Bridge Activity Centre plan, because we've got a draft CBACP in right now with WAPC, still with no outcome. So it's been 8 years since I've been elected on this council, and that whole time we've been looking at reviewing and considering the Canning Bridge Activity Centre plan, and we're still with the same original plan. You know, the Minister says local governments should focus on our planning strategy, our scheme reviews, our advocacy, and that then will deliver the connectivity that the community is talking about, the walkability and safety, missing footpaths, lighting, access to stations, etc., bus interchange conflicts. You know, the traffic interfaces on Murdoch Drive, South Street, Leach Highway, the cul-de-sacs we have along South Street that can't enable the connectivity to allow for the density along those corridors. What else? I'm nearly there. You know, I'm not going to talk about that. Anyway, I support this motion as amended, and I ask you all to support it too. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Wheatland. We're now going to the vote. Green is for the officer's recommendation as amended. Vote green if you support it, vote red if you do not. That is carried 7-3. Moving on to the next item now. Motions with previous notice. 15.1, Notice of Motion, General Liability Insurance Premium. Prior to tabling the motion, I remind the Council of the Officer Advice Note distributed previously to elected members and updated earlier today, and a hard copy provided in front of you. The motion is proposed by Councillor Ross. Councillor, do you wish to proceed with this motion?
Yes, I do, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Ross. Now, do you have a seconder? Is there a seconder for Councillor Ross's motion? If there is no seconder, this will lapse through lack of a seconder. I now declare it lapsed. Thank you. 15.2, notice of motion, John Connell mature trees. Prior to tabling the motion, I remind Council of the officer advice note distributed previously to elected members and included in the agenda for the ordinary meeting. This motion is proposed by Councillor Ross. Councillor, do you wish to proceed?
Yes, I do, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Ross. I have Councillor Ross as the mover. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Wheatland. All right, Councillor Ross, please open the debate.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is a motion that requests information that is essential to making an informed decision on the consequences of accepting or rejecting the Department of Water and Environment's conditions for clearing the area of 0.68 hectares of land at John Connell Reserve. There are two monetary considerations that impact the community and the rates collected by the city. The 209 existing trees have an asset value that cannot be ignored. That valuation must be established and considered as a community cost and loss. The cost of clearing the trees and remediating the land as required, including filling and other groundworks, must be established and again recorded as a community cost. The costs of planting at Kenhurst Park as the offset, including the time frame and number of plantings that will be required to be made to provide a 70% survival rate after 4 years from planting of the last batch, must also be established. So all of these costs must be taken into account on the basis that these are costs that are going to be imposed upon ratepayers, and it's not a cost that is absolutely necessary to be imposed on them if this is not proceeded with. So in establishing the overall costs, the decision must be made, is then able to be made to accept or reject the offset, as it may be more costly or cost efficient to remediate the current vacant tip site to create two multi-purpose ovals rather than one cricket oval, which will be sited immediately alongside the unremediated tip site. Council has a responsibility to protect assets and to not waste resources or to destroy valuable habitats. This motion will add valuable information to the considerations of the Council at the March meeting. The information is required so Council can be fully informed and can show that the Council and the City have exercised due diligence and care in making a decision that will have a considerable financial impact on ratepayers for a number of years into the future. The expense of the planting at Kenhurst Park is an unknown new expense that has not been planned for or included in the long-term financial plan, so must be carefully considered before it is added to the rates burden. The final decision must be based on a cost-benefit analysis, and at the moment we don't have that information and we need to have it. So this motion is asking for the various pieces of information that will provide a full comprehensive information to councillors in making the decision, whatever it will be. So I ask you to support the motion so that we can move forward in a fully informed way. Thank you.
And thank you, Councillor Ross. Councillor Wheatland, do you wish to speak now or later? Okay, can I have a speaker against? Councillor Spanbrook.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd just like to make a few points. First of all, this motion is intended to alarm some within the community and to divert officer time, as well as utilise ratepayer funds that have not been budgeted for. The area referenced in the motion is incorrect because a concept plan defining the sporting grounds boundaries has yet to be confirmed. In saying that, I find it incredible that this motion has no consideration for the value of sport and the physical, mental well-being and the long-term benefits it provides players. I'll go further and talk about the volunteers. That one thing we never do, we never quantify volunteer time. and the social aspect of it, yet this motion has no consideration for any value of volunteers, even the social aspect of actual sporting, and I'll leave it there. This motion is more concerned about everything but those who want to join clubs, play sport, form friendships, become part of a sporting community that looks out for each other. And we all win, even the community. So we should not be wasting officer time, ratepayer funds and potentially consultant fees on this area until the concept plan has been worked through. In closing, there is a site management plan that is being developed by the officers. So this motion would be arduous, unnecessary and costly. Just a side note, just for some who weren't here at the time, there was a resolution of council in June 22 that was supported by the councillor proposing this motion, and I don't recall at any time was there a concern about the value of trees, nor was there any input to the utilisation of another area close by. I seek your support to vote against this motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Spanbrook. Is there another speaker against, so I can evaluate the balancing debate? No, I'm not. Oh, Councillor, you wish to? Then I'll take a speaker for first. Is there a speaker for? Councillor Barber.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Spanbrook, for your words. And the human interaction is very important. But I believe a report is coming to council in April next year, and I think a full assessment of what's happening at John Connell Reserve is useful. And I like the fact that Councillor Ross has put in the cost for 0.38 hectares, which the cricket club apparently has cut down the size of the remnant bushland. So the more information we can get, the better, I think, at this stage. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Robbins.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll keep it brief. My view is that there's a lot of work requested here, and I'd feel more comfortable having the officer's report that's due in April before we do all this work. So my preference is to, consider the options or recommendations presented by officers in April, and if we decide that this work is required, then we can make that decision in April. I just am conscious that there may be options that aren't or that don't require removal of the trees, in which case all of this work is redundant. So I'd just like to see what officers come to us with in April, and then we can make a decision. If it's necessary to do this work, we can move forward with it at that time. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Robbins. Is there another speaker against?
Just have a question.
A question, Councillor Woodall.
The officer advice note suggests that the additional consulting costs will be approximately $15,000 and that it would require a budget amendment. Does that mean that this motion will require an absolute majority?
Ms Bowman, CEO.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Woodall. Yes, that's what the officer advice note has said, because there isn't $15,000 allocated in the budget to do that additional work. It would require a budget amendment and an allocation to actually proceed to be able to implement a council resolution if council did proceed with it.
Okay, thank you. Is there another speaker against? If there's not, I'm going to ask Councillor Wheatland. Do you wish to speak now? Councillor Ross.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. If I can say in rebuttal to some of the matters that have been raised, this is not about sport versus trees. This is about providing the proper place and location for an oval. There is a disused tip site that will be completely adjacent to this new oval if it is prepared, and there are possibly of health issues that might have to be considered, and that's what this is asking to be done, to get a comprehensive report on everything, so we are fully informed in making this decision. We can't in order to take this to the April meeting and then say, look, we need further information, is simply extending the process when all of this information can and should be brought to the table in April so that a fully informed decision can be made. There is nothing extremely expensive in here. The officers are preparing a report, and one would have thought that in any event these sorts of issues should be addressed, but we've discovered that they are not being addressed. So that's why it's necessary to bring this motion to have a comprehensive report prepared and brought forward. If we want to just go ahead and make decisions in terms of without information and with blindfolds on, that's not very responsible. In terms of the use of volunteers, it is something that I understand that, and this was raised by the speakers against, but some of those volunteers have been trying to put a deputation to the council, and they've been blocked from coming to the council with their information. So again, we're playing a game here of blocking information rather than listening to everyone.
Madam Mayor, point of order. I think this is new information.
Councillor,
it's a rebuttal to information, to comments that were made about volunteers.
New information is being introduced about deputations and whatnot, which I don't think is directly relevant.
yes, Councillor, can you just stick to wrapping up the debate and not including information that actually wasn't raised?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think I'll leave it there. I think it's important that we make fully informed decisions and that we avail ourselves of all the information when we can. So I ask you to support the motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ross. We're going straight to the vote. So green is to support Councillor Ross's motion and red is against. Oh, hang on a minute. Oops. That is lost, 2-8. Thank you. Moving on to the next item. Item 16, motions without previous notice. There are no motions without previous notice for this evening. Now, 17, matters for which the meeting, in fact, we're now moving on to confidential items for this evening. Can I have a mover and seconder for the motion to go behind closed doors? Thank you, Councillor Woodall. Seconded somebody. Councillor Lim, thank you. Anyone against? If there's no one against, I declare it carried. We are just shutting down the live streaming, so pause for Okay, meeting is opened again. So for the purposes of the minutes, the following items were discussed behind closed doors. C25 336 City of Melville Fencing Local Law 2025 Undertakings and the officer recommendation was carried. C25 337 City of Melville Local Law 2025 Undertakings and the officer recommendation was carried. E25 82 Waste Service Agreements and the officer recommendation was carried. Additionally, the Council resolved that the resolutions be made public in the minutes of the meeting. 19, closure. There being no further business, I declare the meeting closed at 9:47. Thank you very much for your attendance, and please pause for a moment as we close the live streaming.